Been doing this for 4 fucking years. You didn't fucking get it by now. Get the fuck out of here.
Off to the rest of your spastics and tell them you can do nothing. Yeah, you can, you stuttery. Yes, that's it. Fuck off. Go away. Help me. Your stupid globe and I know you'll never back your claims. Fuck off. Back to your spastic retard.
Yeah, whatever, Nathan. You're a genius.
That's my fucking argument and demonstration of being a spastic.
Demeaning our argument with statements like, you can do fuck all with an angle.
What can you do with an angle?
Shut up. Bitch, shut your fucking mouth. Nobody was talking.
You shut the fuck up, Nathan.
I'll remove you if you don't shut up while I talk to Beth.
I will do what the fuck I like. Dad, you've been talking. You say to an audience, fuck all with an angle, and then mention me in that. You are personally in talking. Therefore, I'm going to take a strip on you based on your ignorance of that angle. That's what I'm going to do. Or you stuff it. Okay? So that would be doing something with an angle, wouldn't it then? Yeah, it would, you stupid fucking retard. So our problem is with you personally, is with you being stupid, not understanding that you can do something with an angle, an elevation angle measure, you can find your position on the flat plane. The six, you don't understand this, and you're attempting to demean our argument. You can do lots with an angle, unless you're a fucking retard, like you. You can measure your position on Earth by way of elevation angle. That is doing something with an angle. Zero comprehension of the argument we put across. Our responses to his mate.
Right, Ben, you can measure and find your position on the flat plane with an elevation angle.
Talk about your 2D surface.
Called Adam Flat Earth side.
You ain't got no purpose in life.
Fuckwits, you told you not explain the argument. The spastics I'm telling you to go back to. If they not comprehend the argument, put it across to you. You're surrounded by fucking retards, Ben. Clearly, we have an argument. I'm giving it to you now.
Learn the fucking scientific method or get the fuck out of here.
I'm not surprised. Listen to you lot. You go fucking mental over a simple geometric fact. You've got a third of a triangle, yet you're doing magic with it.
Adam, your flat earth society,
It's called Adam Flat Earth Society.
Call QE, Owen, or Wember all you like, yeah?
Okay, well, while Bev's here, I just want to say, if you're subscribed to Bev, you're a
Hey,
spastic
fuck
like
off!
Bev, because he's going to make you stupid, like he's making all of us stupid. Unsubscribe to him immediately. Definitely don't give him any money. Because the guy's a fucking retard. He's going to make you more stupid, and he's going to either he convey his stupidity to you to soak up,
Adam,
or he's
your
fucking
flat
lying
earth
to you.
society.
Either way, he's poison.
Flat Earth endorsement. Thank you very much, Nathan.
I'll tell my audience, so fuck off! Subscribe from you and never give you any money.
I'll tell your audience.
While I tell you to shut up, Bev, I'll tell my audience, you, Bev, are a fucking thicko.
Simple is bad. I want it as complicated
Just
as
live in
possible.
reality, Nathan. Don't worry.
Shut up! I'll tell my audience that you're fucking thick and they so fuck off! Stubborn. Spoiled bitch. Excuse me, daddy, if you Adam Flat Earth side. Kick him out, he's a fucking retard. He doesn't belong here, he's a spastic. Another Adam. He's done his attacks and me, and then Adam again with Adam. I haven't just called Bev a spastic. I called Adam Flat Earth side. Can't do anything with an angle. An angle will be acquired through a star and GP on a plane. That's an argument. It's an ad bomb.
I think you guys are having a communication problem.
No, then we're fucking angle. So fuck off! Dead area. Shut up! Shut up! Everybody else, shut the fuck up. Free ad bomb. So fuck off!
Why do I get so
Yeah, you need
much
other things
resistance?
sometimes. When you oversimplify it down only.
that means you don't understand the principle of celestial navigation. That's what we were pointing out there. I think you personally where you get your pants in a bunch about you as an individual. Like we give a fuck. Like we give a fuck about you and your personal problems that our people talk about. You are a wanker, and we will treat you like a wanker because that's how wankers get treated. Personally, well, this fucking stupid bitch attacks everybody personally. It's called Adam Flat Earth describes how the use of an angle to find your position on a flat plane when measuring it through the star singular angle at that point is useful because it will use the angle singular to support your position at sea on a plane. So that's an argument. It's not me just calling him thick like you just called Adam Flat Earth Society.
Sick of this shit! Not
Yeah,
you, Nathan!
Understand? It was an argument against his assertion that you can do nothing with an angle. You can. You can save your life at sea by measuring that angle from the star. Called Adam Flat Earth Society. What does section do?
It measures angles.
You can do fuck all with an angle, Bad. He said you can do fuck all with an angle, and he is wrong.
Not
Yeah,
you,
I got it.
Nathan! I'm talking to everyone!
And my fucking balls place you unbelievable spastic.
Just an angle, Nathan. No need to get upset about it. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Yeah.
Are we?
You can do fuck all with an angle.
I can demonstrate what you can do with an angle.
You've got one angle. What are you doing with it? What are you? How do you draw a circle with an angle? How do you draw a circle with an angle?
And it was an argument against his assertion that you can do nothing with an angle. You can. You can save your life at sea by measuring that angle to the star. Communication of an angle that you measure. That's not doing something with it, right there. You fucking retard, you spastic, you dumbo, thick fuck. Shut up, Owen!
You can do fuck all with an angle.
And we are live. Welcome everyone. It's Free for All Friday. So if anybody wants to come and tell us what you could do with an angle, everybody wants to have an argument about mathematical facts, then hey, if anybody's found out what you can do with an angle, then come and let us know. Just one angle. You can look it up in a book, apparently.
Hey, I like that rendition, bro. That was a good. Shout out Buster and shout out you for the video. That was very good.
It's been quite a. I've got a few things that I've done and saved it behind. Yeah, the title of this video is On the Level versus the Blue Marble Scientists. The way I'm taking it is on the level being just honesty, advanced simplicity, and obviously the Blue Marble Scientists, sophists and deceit, obfuscation, sophistry. But I don't think they even really know what sophistry is. I think they'd be learning about sophistry if they learnt about it. So, yeah, anybody wants got anything to do, come on in. Have a chat about whatever you want. It is Friday. And conversation's open. Anybody got anything to talk about? Or is it one of those Fridays? Nobody can say a thing.
Wherever they want to go, pick a choice. There's so many holes. We can do it on any which way they want.
Oh, NASA Shell is in here.
Ooh,
Really?
let's see if he can come up with a logical anything.
I bet I know what his topic he wanted to be talking about. No. Is he muted? Have we muted him? Sure he's in here? Oh, look. Oh, he is? He's muted? Why is he muted? Muted but not muted. What's that about? It's one of those ones that it doesn't show the mute.
No, he's not muted. I just checked.
Might have been me that had him muted. Anyway, it's tough for people to say things nowadays, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the model is getting more and more difficult to support by the day. Yeah.
Some would say ridiculous. It's not able to survive through conversation. No proof.
No, I don't think there's any logical argument that you can make for the model. I don't think so.
I don't think they can have logic, to be honest. Although, there is the new. I've not really heard much from anyone. I wonder if Paid NASA Shill was to hear Beddy's, the dogmatician, made a proof from aporia. He handed Blue Marble a piece of aporia the other day. It claimed that it was a proof from Aristotle. Wonder whether he heard that.
You mean proof that level is not horizontal?
That's what he
That
said.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder whether. Did you hear that, NASA?
He must be feeling ill because he never misses an opportunity to speak. So there must be something up here.
Well, let him just sit in here and have a listen for a bit. No doubt if the topics get interesting enough, he might just be able to feel brave enough to speak up. Let us know why he's in here. It can be tough, you know. They get I wouldn't say frightened, but I think they're intimidated from opening the mouth. It becomes a little bit awkward. Especially we're under, you know, like he might never have seen because they've all been saying that there is no proof of their model. But then a guy called Beddy comes out of nowhere and surprises them with aporia. I mean, I don't think anybody ever has ever researched any of the logic or anything like that. Nobody's ever looked into the formulation of arguments before. So obviously the hearing about this aporia handed to them from a guy called Beddy. I don't want to go over it personally until we've heard from the Blue Marble scientist. I don't want to spoil it for them. It's like a personal journey into proof and understanding of these sort of things. And I've got a bet on that none of them can talk about it. And much like the, you know, getting ranty to go up a hill and Jesse Kozlowski coming back to think, I think I'm just going to be proved right, correct, again. And that's got to be tough for all of the Blue Marble scientists. Considering like Betty said, there is two different sides now. There's the sides of people, conversation, just general chitter chatter, and there's this other group called the Blue Marble Scientists, of which Paid NASA is definitely one of them. I don't think he'd deny that. And yeah, they can't talk about simple proofs. Betty's aporia that he handed to the Blue Marble Scientists the other day. So has anybody got any other topics to discuss?
Well, the latest one I came up with, very triggering for them, is the water bridge.
Like,
just posted a picture of a water bridge. You know, a bridge that a boat could pass over?
Yeah. Oh, like an aqueduct type thing.
Exactly like that, yes.
Yeah, there's a few of those around here. Keep the canal barges traveling.
Yeah, where you're at, you're pretty famous for those things. Yeah. And I think the Dutch have a few of those as well.
Yeah, the canal barge was a good way of transporting stuff, wasn't it? So obviously the canals require an engineering aspect to it, and obviously surveying to trace the land.
Absolutely.
I mean,
so I asked him.
Go on. Sorry. Go on.
Oh, no, it's cool. I just asked him, like, what orientation do you figure the water is at? And he said, well, you know, seeing that the water doesn't flow, it seems to be level. So I'm like, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, it seems to be level. Then I asked him, would you say it's horizontal as well? And he said, no, I wouldn't describe it as horizontal.
Wouldn't describe the water not flowing. Yeah?
Correct, yep.
Water not flowing, but not horizontal.
Correct. Level, but not flowing water, level, but not horizontal. Correct.
Impossible.
I agree. Absolutely impossible. But yet, standard operating procedure for the modelers. The ability to hold two opposing thoughts in your brain at the same time is a speciality of the ballers.
Hello, gentlemen. But those are not two opposing thoughts. That's the problem.
Sorry, say that again. Which aren't?
That something could be level but not horizontal. Those are not opposing thoughts.
To who? To who?
To a glober.
Okay. So they would be contradictory to say, we went over it last night. Merriam-Webster dictionary states that level, the level, is a device for establishing a horizontal.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
to
on
them
the
it would
scale,
be a contradiction, right? They are the same.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we are talking, you know, in this arena, we are not talking about building a house. Like if we were just a bunch of construction workers and we were building a house, there would be zero contradiction between saying level equals horizontal, okay? Because the context of the conversation is building a house.
Well,
So
well,
level
see,
equals
Matt,
horizontal.
this is where you have to. When I came into this because somebody called me a child abuser for saying that level is horizontal. Now, I wasn't in this arena. I don't consider myself as being within your paracosm. I know that level is horizontal. I'm in exactly the same place that Merriam-Webster dictionary is. Now, Merriam-Webster's dictionary is how we identify. The dictionaries are how we identify things.
Yes.
And
but
those
if there is-
dictionaries apply to this arena.
Well, the problem is that if we're talking about anything on a practical scale, then the dictionary definition is what people, I mean, you stop somebody in the street. Is level the same as horizontal? Sure, absolutely. You know, you're not going to find any contradiction, right? But the arena is, especially, you know, with my regards to conversating with you, or talking with you, I should say, conversations with you, is that you say it's not a globe. And the whole idea
we say
of,
tis globe, Matt. Hello.
I know
Hello.
you call it you call
globe.
it a globe, but
You must have
but
heard
you
that,
do not-
surely.
But you do
We
not
all
believe
say it
the Earth
here.
has a spherical shape. I know, tis globe. It's a joke. Ha ha ha. It's very funny.
No,
when you guys are saying
Matt,
tis
it's
globe.
not funny. Everyone, like you just say, everybody knows that level is horizontal, and everybody also knows tis globe. So level being horizontal goes on the globe.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, everybody knows that level is horizontal, and everybody knows tis globe. They're both the same thing within reality. Well, I don't see what your problem is.
Well, it gets back to, you know, geodetic surveying and those surveying manuals. You know, surveying for engineers, and I mean, I've posted a bunch of screenshots.
But you're not a surveyor, are you?
No, but that's
And you
a
have no
fallacy. That's a logical
qualifications in
fallacy.
surveying, have you?
That's
Or
a
any
logical
training
fallacy.
within surveying?
That's a logical fallacy.
What?
All right.
No, I'm just
That I'm-
making it clear to everybody listening. You have no training and no qualifications within surveying.
Other than the ability to read a book. Okay, so that's a logical fallacy to try to deflect what I'm saying about using surveying resources, textbooks written by the experts in the field, which I am not one. But it's a
But so
deflection
you're
to say,
gonna
well,
say-
you've never done it.
You're
sorry?
going to say that although the dictionaries state that level is horizontal, right? You're going to say that the surveyors contradict the dictionary without
So-
knowing anything about the profession or the trade or any qualifications or any training within it.
I don't have any training within it, but I know a few things because anybody can learn stuff, you know, with a little bit of study.
No, but you're
level-
within an arena where you've already stated you contradict the dictionary definitions.
I don't, because the dictionary definition is on a practical scale.
And
Like
that's
I
what
said,
we're
if you
talking
stop
about.
anybody-
Practical, yes.
No,
The
we're
practical
talking
use
about
of level is horizontal. That's all we've ever said.
Then you've got no disagreement with me that level is horizontal on a practical scale, and I think I've said that 100 times.
Brilliant.
But that doesn't have to do with the shape of the Earth,
No,
right? And you know,
I don't give a shit about the shape of the Earth.
I know, as long as it's not a globe, right?
It is globe.
I know that's a joke.
It's
Tis
not a
globe
joke.
means
Tis globe.
level is horizontal around the whole world.
It's a statement.
Okay?
Everywhere,
So-
level is horizontal.
Well, no, it's not everywhere. It's
It is.
locally.
Everywhere you go, level will be horizontal.
Right,
Everyone you
everywhere
ask,
go,
level
everywhere
will be
you go,
horizontal.
Yes, but there's a problem, and the
There's no
problem
problem.
is
There is no
problem is-
problem, literally. If level is horizontal everywhere, there's no problem.
so and I don't know how far you are from London, you know,
as far as I'm concerned, like literally everybody who lives in the United Kingdom lives in London, right? But there was I don't know if it was called cross Crossrail. It's like a subway that goes east to west, and it has to go over and under all the other subway lines. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
All right, I'll have to look it up, but it was a huge project that was done, 10 or 20 years ago, and it was, they were digging some of the deepest subway tunnels that were ever dug in London, and their precision had to be such because they had to go over, this line, this north-south line, and then they had to go over under this other north-south line, and they had to plan it out very, very carefully, and they had these huge tunnel digging machines, and they had to be digging from both ends because you don't just buy one machine and start at one end. You drill from both ends to save time. And they had to have their precision, dead on, accurate. And guess what? They have to take the curvature of the Earth into account. So it does matter.
Horizontal doesn't curve, and if level is horizontal everywhere you are, please explain what you're talking about.
Okay. Level is horizontal for building a house. Okay, so where you are, level is horizontal.
Practical use, yes.
But if you're talking about engineering, specifically engineering a large-scale civil infrastructure, like Crossrail or whatever this thing is called.
Have you ever done any construction training? Have you ever done anything to do with construction?
That's a logical fallacy.
Well,
right? That's a logical fallacy. We should be able to have this conversation.
Can you answer the question, please? Have you ever studied anything to do with building construction? Yes.
I studied engineering for 2 years in college. Okay. So I've taken drafting. I did a little bit of CAD.
Have you ever done an elevation profile?
No, I have never done an elevation profile. But that is a logical fallacy. You and I, Bev, should be able to have this conversation.
Please name the logical fallacy.
I don't know what it's called, but it's
don't
basically...
just say it's a logical fallacy then. Please name the logical fallacy of asking you whether you have any experience within the thing that you are talking about.
You're deflecting against the actual concept. You and I should be able to have a conversation.
You're deflecting, Charles, about what Bev just asked you. If you can't name the logical fallacy, don't say it's a logical fallacy. So we're not going to go any further until you take that back or name the logical fallacy.
So
go on, name the logical fallacy, or say I rescind my claim of a logical fallacy.
I don't.
Then name it, Charles. Then name it, because we had this conversation a couple weeks ago or a week ago about logic and whether or not you have any formal training in logic. So you're the one who said logical fallacy, not anybody else. So name it, please. And then we could continue this fine conversation.
So it's interesting when trying to...
No, it's not interesting. It's not interesting at all.
Somebody will try to put the brakes on the conversation and then demand that the other person, provide...
You're the one who used the words, Charles.
We should be
You're
able
the
to
one
have
who
a
used the words.
But it is a fallacy.
You want to have a conversation by claiming something of someone else that they've done a logical fallacy. Right. Name it. Let's get into it. What is the logical fallacy?
Whether it's a formally stated with a name, I don't know the names of all the logical fallacies. However, I do know
you can't just claim logical fallacy. You can't do that.
If two people are having a conversation and one person puts the brakes on the conversation,
and one person shouts logical fallacy by putting the brakes on it,
ever personally done it? Mm-hmm. I've told you 100 times. I am not a surveyor.
Yeah, and you're not a logician.
I am not a project manager on construction projects. Okay, I am a math teacher. Okay, so I don't understand why we can't have a conversation where we're talking about these ideas without getting interrupted by saying, "Oh, well, did you personally do this?" And it's like that just puts the brakes on it. We should be able to talk.
For a group of people as though you are an authority when you know nothing about it.
Okay. I'm not speaking for any group of people. I'm speaking for myself. Mm-hmm. And I do know that when I looked up the The description from the engineers of the Crossrail or whatever the project was called in London, that their tolerances were very, very close. They were within inches in some cases. And so they said
They're very
in the
accurate.
specs that I read that they had to take the curvature of the Earth into account, which means that it was not just a local thing of building a house
What does it mean?
where level is horizontal.
Please tell me, what does it mean taking the curvature of the Earth into account? Please explain that statement.
Well, the simplest thing is that level deviates from horizontal with distance.
So what? Please explain it. Level deviates from horizontal, right? Now, as far as I know, level and the dictionary definition, a level is a tool that establishes a horizontal plane of reference.
Yes.
Right. Now, how does that deviate? Please tell me how the tool that establishes a horizontal deviates from the horizontal that it establishes. Please explain that procedure.
The tool establishes a horizontal, and what we just said is that level is deviating from. So the tool is doing the tool's job, which is to establish a horizontal.
Okay.
And you've done this yourself. You've used auto levels. You've taken pictures through auto levels.
A water level.
The level establishes.
We deal with the water
horizontal
level because the advanced simplicity states that the water level establishes a horizontal.
Yeah, but you could also use an auto level, which has that little, correcting device, the correcting mechanism, where it has a crosshair. Like if you're using a water level, there's no crosshair on a water level. But my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you've taken pictures through a auto level where there was a crosshair, and the crosshair, is sort of a projection of your horizontal line of reference, right?
No,
so
you've had the crosshairs are within the instrument, and you look through them.
But and you look through it because it's a combination of a telescope plus a crosshair, and then you have a guy standing with a surveyor's rod or whatever they call those, big long stick.
You've seen some people out there doing this practically, haven't you?
Right. I've seen the photos that you took, right? You and your friends and family. And so what I'm saying is that auto level was doing the job of projecting a horizontal. Okay. Now, what that tool is not doing is it's not showing any deviation. Now, what shows deviation is
horizontal,
actual level.
right?
Oh, sure. Horizontal is a straight line. But if you took that to, the canal, or, my understanding is that you were near Blackpool Tower, then your horizontal intersects Blackpool Tower quite higher than where you were standing close to the beach. And you were standing close to a body of water. Blackpool Tower is
according
near a
to
body
you,
of water.
then that would make Blackpool Tower lower.
No.
Well, yeah, it would in surveying.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, that's what.
So, I mean,
yes.
Do you think Blackpool Tower was submerged
it's
underwater?
Definitely not lower, right?
It's definitely not lower.
No.
Yes, we can all agree. Blackpool Tower is not lower.
Level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane. And Blackpool Tower is not lower. 0 at Blackpool is the same as 0 at Southport.
Right. We're talking about elevations. Okay. Right, because it's right next to the water, right next to the body of
If we have a
water
level that's at, say, 10 foot at Southport, and it goes at 10 foot elevation at Blackpool, that would be level.
Yes.
And that would be a water level.
Mean sea level.
The water level tool that's establishing a horizontal. So that 10 foot to 10 foot would be a horizontal.
No. That's where you'd run into problems. That's why the auto level would be a better tool.
A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal. Now,
locally, yes.
Well, local to the tool.
Yes,
so as long as the tool is, then the local horizontal will be established locally to the 2 points of the water level.
Right, and my understanding is you were quite a few miles away from Blackpool Tower, so it is not local to the tool to take a hose and run it all the way.
No, it's not a water level, right?
Right.
Now,
But
so
can
do
use
you think? Wait a minute. Do you think local to the auto level is miles away in the distance? Do you think that's local to the auto level?
No, because it's got a telescope. That's
Right,
the whole
so-
point of it. It's got a telescope. So it's projecting this horizontal, as far as the eye can see.
So the water
right.
level over that distance would be local and would establish a horizontal. But
No.
no. Right. So at what point then, let's go with you and your vast knowledge of this. At what point does a water level stop establishing a horizontal?
Well, it's technically it's the halfway point between the two tubes, and if you're building a house
No,
and
wait a
you're
minute,
using
Charles,
a water
Charles,
level,
Charles.
yes,
Are you saying the halfway point between the two tubes is where it stops establishing a horizontal?
no,
Level?
that's where it is horizontal.
Well, I was asking you, where does a water level stop establishing a horizontal from one end to the other end, Charles?
Well,
because there's only two
and
ends
I'm
of a
just
water
clarifying.
level.
I'm just clarifying. If you draw a line from one end of
No,
the water level to
Charles,
the other,
Charles,
you gotta
hello.
let
I
me
know
clarify.
Charles. I
you
know
don't
that
like
you've
clarifying.
never done any of this stuff practically, but a water level is just a tube and it has two ends. You do not draw a line with it. You use the level of one end to know that the level at the other end will be at the same level, i.e. a horizontal. There is no flow
at the same level.
of the water from one end to
Right.
the other. Each end is
Right.
neither higher nor lower than the other end, i.e. no slope. Commonly
okay.
called a horizontal.
Right. At a local level, it's horizontal. Now, if you were to sight along them, it would do the same thing as an auto level, which has a crosshair. All right. So,
It would-
the difference is, if you're talking about a civil engineering project that's miles and miles big, then you have to,
Well, give
you
us
have
an
to pay
example
attention
of the
that
civil
horizontal
engineering
is not.
project.
Yeah, I mean, the Crossrails one, is one. The LIGO is another. Somebody was posting something about a ship
The
testing
LIGO.
facility where they've got a 500 meter long water tank, and they build model ships and they drag them through the water, and they had to take the curvature of the Earth into account because this thing is 500 meters long. Or 500 or 5, I forget how long it is. Anyway, it was posted in one of these servers.
500
Um,
meters.
Not, what was it?
Wow.
It was 18 centimeters. I don't know. I forget how long. I forget how long it was.
You know how
um,
long
but-
the realizing Euclid water levels are?
No, how long?
400 meters.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's pretty close to your 500
500
meters,
meters.
isn't it?
Yeah, but it's very hard to
So we'll-
detect
So they're
over the short term.
very hard to detect what? Whether
The-
a water level
the-
is a tool
the-
for
the-
establishing a horizontal.
No, it's very hard to detect the deviation of level from horizontal.
Because there is none. A level is a tool for establishing horizontal.
Yeah, but the level doesn't change the shape of the Earth. That's the problem.
No, and it doesn't. No. There's only one person that's obsessed with the shape of the Earth, and that's
Yeah, and that's
you,
me.
flat Earth math.
I'm the only one.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know that the Earth's
It's
not
me
flat,
against the
right?
world. I'm sorry, what?
You do know that the Earth's not flat.
Yes. It's
Jolly good.
definitely it's been measured, not flat.
Yeah, it's got elevation changes.
Yes.
Do you know how we measure the elevation changes?
With our eyeballs.
With a tool called a
You
level.
You walk outside and you look at the natural world.
No, you
and
don't, Charles.
It's not flat.
I know
It's
you've
just
never
cool.
done any surveying and you've got
I've
no
never done
formal
any.
training in it, but you use a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal, and then you measure a vertical change from that horizontal. That is called an elevation change. That's
Yes, an
exactly how
elevation
we
change
measure elevation
from
changes.
level. Yes.
Yes.
But
But that's
here's
not the level deviating from the horizontal. That's the ground. The
No, it's
elevation
level. You could
changes
stand next
of
to a
the
canal.
ground
You can stand next to a canal, and you'll see this. You'll see this.
Now
and, hopefully somebody.
The water does not change in elevation.
That's correct. It is level.
Yes,
it is level.
But
Absolutely.
the horizontal
so
doesn't change in elevation, does it?
Well, it will.
No, because the horizontal doesn't slope, Charles. There is no slope to a horizontal in reality.
Askin just posted something. My Foucault pendulum. That's a great video, by the way. Askin, if you get to watch that video, even though you may think it's gay, but no, the level does deviate from horizontal with great distance. All right,
it doesn't, because the horizontal
it's
is
been measured to
by a level, right? And any change is change in elevation. Now, if you say the horizontal is the base, then you're saying that the level deviates from that. Well, there is no elevation change of a level, like you said.
That's correct.
Well, how can it deviate?
Well, it's deviating from a projected horizontal from a location far away.
The level is the tool to establish the horizontal. So how can the level deviate from the horizontal?
So when we're talking about level, we're saying we're using it in two different contexts, and that's one of the things that comes up a lot.
No, we're not.
So in this,
Charles, we are not using it in two different contexts.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
Can you give me? Can you let me finish?
You can. Off you go. Tell me the two different contexts that you are using level.
So literally within one sentence, we're using the word level to refer to a tool, and we're also talking about level as a region of constant elevation. That's literally two different meanings of the same word in the same sentence. Okay? So if you took your auto level to say
they're not contradictory,
the Old Bedford
though, right?
Canal.
Right, they're not contradictory, are they?
They're not contradictory, but you can't use them synonymously. That's the key, and that happens over and over again.
The level is the tool that establishes the horizontal.
Yes.
But then you want level to deviate from horizontal.
Yes, and when I say level, I don't mean a tool.
What's that level?
The tool is not deviating.
Yeah. What is that other level?
The water level, like say a canal. So take your auto level to the Old Bedford. In fact, I think it's called the Old Bedford level, isn't it? Take your auto level to the canal, and then you go, 6 miles away, and you will find that
Charles,
where the crosshair is hitting is far above the water.
Talking. You already know nothing about surveying, right? You do not go 6 miles. Well, no, this isn't a fallacy. I'm telling you about operating procedure. You do not use an auto level over 6 miles. That's fucking ridiculous. And nobody does that.
Why is that ridiculous?
Well, you're showing your inexperience about the... there's a limit to how far you can see.
Really?
Using, through the auto level. Because when we use auto levels, we like to stay within the range of millimeter accuracy. And when I say we, I'm talking on behalf of surveyors, actual people that actually do this job. And they would not look over 6 miles because they cannot stay within that millimeter accuracy. They pride themselves on it.
Yeah, but we're not doing this in a fog.
You're not doing it at all. You're making it up in your head.
I'm not making it up.
You've never done it.
I mean, that's the fallacy. All right.
But you have never done it. Now, have you ever been by the side of somebody as they are doing it?
No.
No. Have you ever
and again,
watched
all this is
a video
you're
anybody using an auto level?
You're deflecting.
Have you even watched a video of anybody actually going through the procedure of using an auto level?
No.
So what are you basing your statements on of moving 6 miles away?
So, well, the description of the original Wallace old Bedford level. I don't know if you call it experiment or observation. It's more of an observation. It wasn't really an experiment. Where they did just that. They had the two bridges 6 miles apart, and they put a big banner with big black, a big black rectangle on this banner, and that banner was the black rectangle was exactly, I think it was like 13 feet above the water.
Okay, Charles.
And then they had
Can I just interrupt you?
Sure.
But
it was a great outing.
That's not surveying procedure.
Yeah, well, they did have a theodolite.
That's how we know.
They did have a theodolite at one end.
That's how we know that that isn't surveying.
Yeah,
And
well,
there will never be a surveyor to come in here, like Mike's going to put in, to go through the procedure that you're talking about. What they need is people who are ignorant of surveying to be able to come in to say the stupid things that you do.
Well, it's really a question of tools and the precision of the tools. So is it possible to use a tool for a purpose that it was not designed for? And is it possible to use it accurately for a tool it was not designed for, or for a purpose it was not designed for? Is that possible?
What do you mean?
Okay, so you have you go to a fishing store and you buy a scale, and it says, here's a scale to weigh a fish, and it has a big hook, and you're supposed to hook a fish on. You can weigh how many pounds the fish weighs. And then a housewife takes it, and then she hangs a bag of oranges, and she weighs a bag of oranges. And it's like, oh, you can't do that. That's a fish scale. You're not allowed to weigh produce.
It's a scale, though, right?
It's just a scale.
Yeah.
And even though it was designed to weigh fish, and then you stick the hook in the gills of the fish, right?
Yeah.
Then a housewife is perfectly within her rights to accurately measure bags of fruit. Okay.
When I say
so
that,
it does not break the precision
within
of the
surveying,
machine.
right? Within surveying, a level is a tool to establish a change in elevation, to measure a change in elevation. Right.
Yes,
now,
or more accurately, a change in horizontal. Deviation
no,
from
Charles,
horizontal.
no. Accurately, it is there to measure a change in elevation. Specifically, a level. That's what the tool is. A vertical change in level. Now, can you tell me how other people might intend to use that out of it, the purpose, right? So it's not, use it differently, please. How would you imagine people use the tool differently than what
Yeah,
it's
well,
intended
I would
to use?
I would clarify the language that you're using, in that, if you're using citing through an auto level, citing through a theodolite.
Have you ever cited through an auto level?
Oh my goodness. Are you literally going to interrupt me this entire conversation to ask me
you want to
how
be
have I done this?
specific? You want to be specific with word usage. Now,
Yes,
I have to
but-
know, have you ever actually cited through an auto level?
All right. So why don't we get this straight from the beginning? I have zero surveying experience. I've never looked through an auto level. I've never looked through a theodolite. I've never watched a video of somebody performing the procedure with an auto level or a theodolite. I've never done construction on a big scale. I've never been a project manager. I've never drawn an elevation profile. I've never done all of these things. So would it be helpful for you to stop interrupting to ask me if I've ever done these things?
Just so everybody knows,
it would
right?
be really
you,
helpful.
Charles, are speaking from ignorance. And there's not many people.
I actually know
right?
how to read, and I could read books.
You don't read surveying. It's a practice that you do. It's much like mathematics, going through the problem solving thing. You can't do it by reading, can you?
So what about surveying manuals? Would you say that it would be good to consult surveying textbooks?
I'd say
if
you'd
I
be
don't,
much
if I've
better
never
off
done it?
going through the practical process.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. But let's say I can't. Could I pick up a surveying textbook and maybe read in it and then maybe take some information from the experts in surveying, from a surveying textbook.
From the experts?
Yes.
How do you know an expert is...
Well, if they've written a surveying textbook that is used around the world, I would consider that to be more qualifications than just a guy on the street.
Okay, so this is somewhere within this textbook. It tells you that level deviates from horizontal, does it?
At great distance. Yes.
At great distance. Well,
yes, I mean, a mile, 2 miles.
We don't use the tools over those distances, do we?
Well, how do you think they performed the triangulation of Great Britain, of India, of the United States? I mean, they were using theodolite.
Azimuthal plane, Charles. Please don't get confused here. They did not triangulate with a level. A level is a tool for establishing elevation changes. Now, a theodolite measures angles on the azimuthal plane.
And how do you establish the azimuthal plane?
How do you make the tool horizontal?
How do you establish the horizontal with the theodolite? It has to have some sort of mechanism, right? Some sort of, or there's some sort of procedure for establishing a horizontal plane of reference where the theodolite is, right?
Are you going to call it level?
I'm going to call it level. You have to level the instrument.
Now, do you think? Right? No, wait a minute. Just because you level the instrument, like you level a telescope, right? A telescope also has to go on the azimuthal plane.
Yes.
Now, just because you place all of these instruments within the azimuthal plane for operating procedure, does that make them levels?
No, you level the instrument, but then you because they call it a telescope, it's designed for looking at great distance. And so, for example, a theodolite, you're looking at a distant mountain peak that may be 30 miles away, right? And then you perform a triangulation.
Yes.
But where you're looking at the same mountain peak from several different.
You're not taking a vertical angle.
Well, no, you have to take a vertical angle.
No, you don't.
It's
on the azimuthal plane, Charles.
No, the mountain peak is not on the azimuthal plane.
The
tool,
right?
the horizontal angle.
Charles, the tool is set up on the azimuthal plane.
Yeah, so any horizontal angles.
The angle that you are reading is the angle within the azimuthal plane.
The horizontal angle, yes.
Right. And the vertical angle, Charles, let me finish. The vertical angle does not come into it. You do not measure elevation angles in the land over that distance.
Really?
Absolutely.
And why is it there on the instrument?
Because the instrument has it's an angle measuring device.
Yeah, but you could do f-all with an angle.
True, yes. With an angle, you can do fuck all. Yes.
I don't normally use profanity. I'm sorry about that. But the point I'm trying to make to you, Bev, is that teams of rugged men, I mean real men, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, traversed the countryside carrying these multi-100-pound theodolites. They carried them through the Himalayas. They carried them all across the United States, all up and down Great Britain, the north and south of France during the French Revolution. And they were measuring horizontal and vertical angles. They were measuring both of them to perform the trigonometric survey, or whatever the survey was called. Great Trigonometric Survey of India was one.
Vertical angles. How does a vertical angle come into it, Charles?
Well, you're measuring an angle on an azimuthal plane, that's the horizontal, and then you're sighting in on a mountain peak. Then you use the vertical, and you get an angle from your horizontal, from where your instrument is. What's the angle up to that mountain peak? Now, that mountain peak may be many miles away. But what the point I'm trying to make is that you are using a precision surveying instrument at many, many miles, which I've been told is not part of the use of that instrument. But I'm trying to tell you, it is.
Azimuthal. Who's told you that it's not part of the instrument? That's how they triangulate, Charles.
Yes, at great distances. So you're using a precision surveying instrument and you're sighting at something that is many miles away.
Yes.
Such as looking at
mountain peak.
Blackpool Tower.
No.
From
No,
many
he didn't
miles away.
triangulate to Blackpool Tower.
You weren't using a theodolite, but you did have an autolevel, so they had a crosshair.
Charles,
Right.
you've fallen into the trap, I think, that a lot of people, Jesse Kozlowski and a guy who probably doesn't live in Maine, and there's Larry
probably
Scott.
not a surveyor.
There's Larry Scott who also cites radio towers, right? Now,
Right.
you don't use the vertical angle over distance.
Really?
Yes, really.
Wow. I would love to have a surveyor. Any surveyor.
They won't
say-
do, right? You know, there's a.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Don't
there's
use the vertical
there's
angle.
£1,000 up, right? Mike has offered to give £1,000 to any charity for the surveyor that comes in to explain how level deviates from horizontal. While they're at it, they can tell you about this vertical angle measurement over distance.
So
that
why,
they don't
why does
do
a
that.
theodolite? Why does the theodolite even have a vertical angle measuring device, measuring scale? I mean, you would cut the price of the device in half by just eliminating the vertical angle component.
No,
Just
it
have a
is,
horizontal
it
component.
is a theodolite for angle measurements.
Yeah, a vertical angle and a horizontal angle. And you're telling me that they're not supposed to use the vertical angle measuring part of the theodolite?
No, listen, Charles. They do not measure vertical angles over distance to establish elevations.
Huh. I think every surveyor in the world would disagree with you.
Well, let's get one in.
Yeah, well,
because
the
you're
thing is,
not
this
a
is a very
surveyor,
tough arena.
right? You're not a surveyor, and have you been given the right to speak on behalf of all surveyors? Because that's the claim that you just made.
I don't believe I did. I just said I doubt that you would be able to find one that says that they use a theodolite, but they don't.
We won't
take
be
angle
able to
measurements.
get one to come in to claim the
Oh,
£1,000.
see, that's the difference. This is a tough arena. I mean, I can function in this arena because I've taught teenagers my whole career. So, you know, the interruptions and the insults and stuff, and it's all in good fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people who they would have a very hard time in this arena because they get hounded out and they're like, well, I'm never going back there because it wasn't a fun experience to get hounded out of a room.
I don't think many
you know?
people can actually go on the internet and speak blindly about something that they've admitted to knowing nothing about.
I've never admitted to know nothing about it. I've never said that.
With the practical side of it,
I say don't have any practical field experience.
okay, so
but I know
when
I
you
know quite a bit.
do speak of
I know quite a bit
practical
'cause
uses
I've
of
studied,
these tools, then
right?
you do know nothing about it, because that's what we're talking about.
How do you think they did the trigonometric survey of India, for example?
I know how they did the trigonometric survey of UK, the triangulation of the UK.
Well, the UK doesn't have very many hills, you know. I mean, it has a few.
What do you mean it doesn't have? That's where you get the triangulation points from, Charles.
Well, if you were looking at a map view and all you looked at was azimuthal angles, okay,
that's how they do it.
You could get
isn't
a
it?
series. You could get a series of triangles.
It's how
right?
they make the maps, isn't it? From
Okay.
the triangulation, Charles.
Right.
You're a mathematician.
Right, from a fundamentally.
So everyone of
not
the
the mountains of the
triangles,
Himalayas.
Charles, measured and on the map have 180 degrees.
Yeah, the smaller ones,
And
sure.
all of them.
Sure.
That's how you can put them to a scale, Charles.
You're not going to get spherical excess, you know, unless you go like a triangle the size of the United States, and you can't cite, you know, that far.
So all of the azimuthal triangles that are measured, directly proportioned 1-to-1 onto scale maps of the UK, they're directly proportional. The triangle is a triangle. A
triangle is a
equals
triangle.
A. Yeah. The triangle on the map is measured triangle in reality. Both triangles have 180
it's an azimuthal
degrees.
triangle. It's an azimuthal triangle.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, it probably isn't an issue in the UK where it, you know, you don't have like 10,000-foot mountains all across the UK. You don't have 15,000-foot mountains, all right? And where I live in Pennsylvania, you know, we've got some hills and stuff, but, you know, I don't have
Would it
any
matter?
mountains nearby me.
Would it matter
Well,
for the azimuthal
yes, it
angle
would, because-
measurement?
No, not the azimuthal, but you would
There you
have to go with
so
elevation.
you could still triangulate on the azimuthal exactly the same as you can do in the UK, no matter how high the mountains are, right? The proportion. If you do all of your tools, Charles, on the azimuthal, then you can directly proportionalize the triangle that you measure onto a scale map, can't you? Mathematically, Charles.
For a small
mathematically
area,
Charles.
No,
mathematically,
not
are the triangles
because you're going to get spherical excess
within
at some
proportion?
point.
Where?
Well, with distance, you're going to get spherical excess.
Not in a triangle, you don't.
Well,
triangles have
like
180 degrees, Charles.
Well, planar triangles do, right?
And that's what they do.
Azimuthal triangles,
they measure the plane on the azimuthal. Right, the angle is measured on the azimuthal. What sort of a triangle do you imagine that is? The one that's measured in reality.
With great distance, that's a spherical triangle. If you have three azimuthal angles.
Brilliant.
All right.
Yeah. So, have you done any surveying?
Oh my goodness! He said it again.
Have you, Charles? Have you ever measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees as a mathematics teacher?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Nice.
It was a spherical triangle that was the size of the United States, but yes, I did measure it.
So you have measured triangles with more than 180
just
degrees?
It was just one.
Just the once?
It was just once. It was
you
because I was
repeat that?
responding to, you know, Brian Leakey, right?
Could you
comes in here.
repeat that measurement?
Or no, was it Brian Leakey? It was, he had drawn a triangle across the United States. It was the World Trade Center Memorial, and it was Lompoc in Los Angeles, and it was like Seattle. It was some stadium in Seattle. And so if you draw a triangle across the size of the United States, and you measure the angles at each vertex, they add up to more than 180. It was like they added up to like 180.
Triangles with
it's like
what?
184
That's
degrees.
impossible, Charles. I can't believe that you're a mathematician and you're saying
it was an azimuthal triangle. It wasn't a planar triangle. It was azimuthal.
Azimuthal is a plane.
No, you could establish an azimuthal plane.
It's a plane.
When you level a theodolite, you can establish an azimuthal, plane of reference. But that's not to say that if you measure a triangle the size of the United States and you measure the three azimuthal angles, that's not to say that they're in a plane, because they're not.
For the angle measurement, how long do the lines need to be?
Oh, those lines were several thousand miles long.
No. For the measurement of an angle, how long?
Oh, yeah, infinitely small. So less than a width of a proton.
Okay. So 3 angles that would be measured in 3 different locations, you're saying, would add up to more than 180 degrees because the lines are longer.
Well, it's because you're measuring azimuthal angles, and so you've got a spherical triangle.
An angle.
Right, but it's an azimuthal angle. It's not a planar angle. If you had those 3 locations,
is the azimuthal on a plane? Is it called an azimuthal plane?
Seattle, Los Angeles. No, it's not an azimuthal plane.
What, the azimuthal plane is an azimuthal plane, or?
No, what I'm saying is when you say azimuthal plane, that really only applies to, say, leveling a theodolite at one point in time. Okay, I'm not talking about across the entire United States.
Surely.
Right. There's no azimuthal plane across the entire United States. That doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Oh my goodness! So the rumpus is like, indeed, I regard Charles as an idiot. he makes lots and lots of mistakes. In some of his videos, he mislabeled level and horizontal amongst many other errors. Yes. Right back at you, Rumpus.
Did you see the one that's in the live chat, Charles?
Oh yeah,
It's not flattering either.
Charles is not doing a good job, but he is an idiot and doesn't understand the foundations of maths and geometry nor basic logic. Right back at you, Rumpus.
We don't often agree with Rumpus, but you know.
Yeah, it's all good. I think the Rumpus is wrong about everything, but that's okay. He's a good sport. But anyway, so the point that I hope you get, Bev, is the reason we got off on this tangent is that I was suggesting that you can use surveying tools,
azimuth
specifically
plane,
the
the horizontal
telescope
plane in which the azimuth is measured.
Just let me finish the sentence. The reason why we got off on this tangent is that I was suggesting you could use the telescope on a surveying instrument to sight long distance. And you were saying that it was against the purpose of the device.
No, Charles. I'll remind you again. You do not measure vertical angles for use in elevations over distance. They obviously measure angles for triangulation, as in plotting points on the maps, right? So a triangle measured on a map will be a triangle measured directly in reality, because that's how they triangulate it.
But only the azimuthal. If you're talking about the map, that we're only talking about the azimuthal angle. So, for example, like how do you think they find the height?
It's a triangle.
The height of
triangles.
But how do you
triangles measured in a plane? 3 points, Charles.
How do you think they measure the heights of these mountains?
A mathematician.
How do you think they measure heights of mountains?
They
I think isn't the
they
tallest
use,
mountain in the UK
Charles, don't ask me a question.
Oh
and then carry on talking.
Okay,
they measure elevation changes from an established baseline, and they measure the vertical change from that with a tool called a level.
Okay, so you're standing, 1 kilometer from Ben Nevis. How would you measure the height of Ben Nevis? You would do it with a vertical angle, wouldn't you?
No.
You're not going to carry a water level up to the top of Ben Nevis, right? Like how are you going to measure the height of the mountain?
Charles, you show your ignorance. Why would you want to carry a water level to the top of Ben Nevis?
I was teasing.
No, you were just showing your ignorance.
How are you suggesting that we measure the height?
You do know that there are people who've taken water levels to the tops of mountains, don't you?
Right, like a closed tube, like a rectangular tube of water with red liquid, and they sight along it. Yes, I've seen this.
That's ridiculous, right? Do you know why? You know why they went to do that? Because they imagine that a water level is a sighting tool.
Well, it establishes a horizontal plane of reference, doesn't it? Didn't you say?
Haven't
you said that?
Morons take water levels up mountains.
But what if they were trying to establish a horizontal plane of reference, Bev? That's what you've said more than any other phrase this entire conversation.
Why would you want to do that? I'd say again to everybody else. Why would they want to do that?
Doesn't matter.
You realise?
Aren't you
this
saying?
Is why Ranty didn't go up to Winter Hill with an auto level that Ruhif bought for him. Because
I don't know
it doesn't get done. Nobody's done it. You do it for yourself.
But it's kind of like saying you can't measure produce with a fish scale. Yes, you can. Can you take a water level to a high mountain peak? Absolutely. Because doesn't the water level establish a horizontal plane of reference?
I'll ask you again. Why would you want to do that, Charles?
To establish a horizontal plane of reference.
For what purpose?
So you can compare the horizon and maybe notice the horizon is
you mean so you could measure
below the horizontal
so you could
plane of
measure a vertical angle over distance, which you don't do. I've told you. Nobody does that.
You've told me. I know you've said nobody does that, but how do you measure the height of Ben Nevis then from several kilometers away? You use a vertical angle on a theodolite. That's how you do it.
Really?
You certainly can't drop a You know, you can't drop a measuring tape. Again, I'm teasing. I know you can't drop a measuring tape to measure the height of a mountain. But like, how do you measure the height of a mountain? It's all done with angles. Like, you literally can't do it any other way.
You start from the
but an angle.
baseline and you work upwards.
How do you
obviously.
work upwards? What does that mean?
You
to
use
work
a level
upwards?
and you measure a vertical change.
A vertical change? How? A vertical angle?
No.
Is that what you're doing?
No.
Measure?
No.
What are you measuring?
You're
How are you measuring
measuring
this
a
change?
distance, a vertical height.
How?
On a measuring rod. The way you measure a vertical change. Like,
So-
how do you measure how tall you are? Do you do it with an
I could
angle?
stand next to a.
Do you do it with an angle?
I could stand next to a door frame and mark off with a pencil, right?
And then
But-
you would
So that's
measure
very
an angle.
practical.
Would you then
Like,
measure
how
an
do you-
angle, Charles?
Okay. So
How?
in practicality, if you have something and you can hold a ruler next to it, you can measure it by holding the ruler next to
There
it.
you
Like,
go.
for example, how big is this sheet of
Direct-
paper? I could put a ruler.
Direct measurement.
Right.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense to say I'm going to measure this sheet of paper using an angle. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Right. So,
But if we're talking
I
about
don't
the
know
height
why
of a
you said
mountain,
it then. I'm glad that
We're
you
talking
mean,
about the
I'm
height of a
glad
mountain.
You admit that you just said something that doesn't make any sense.
what I was saying is if I'm going to measure a sheet of paper, I'm going to put a ruler next to it. I would not use an angle to measure a sheet of paper sitting in front of me. However, how am I going to measure the height of a mountain? I cannot hold a ruler next to the mountain. Now, you just said you're going to use a measuring rod. How exactly are you going to use a measuring rod to measure the height of Ben Nevis from several kilometers
The
away?
same way you do because all of the heights, right, of anywhere in the UK are referenced to a datum in Newlyn.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
So-
but how did
so
they
that
get
means
those numbers?
that's where we start, and all of the little fan bits go out. Now they didn't have
Right.
to go too far because as soon as they hit the canal that was already established in Liverpool, as soon as they could
Yes.
join up to that network, they could adjust
Right.
it to the newly found zero. Now I don't know
Because
what the
it's a
difference
canal.
was when
It's
they
level,
met up to
right?
them, but that network is established like that. Differential leveling.
Right, but the thing is with differential leveling and you have a surveying rod, your surveying rod can't be several, 1,000 feet long. That doesn't make any sense. So the idea with differential
You do it in
leveling
bits, Charles.
yes, you do it in bits, but do you think they did that in bits all the way up Ben Nevis? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't know.
Well, I'm suggesting that you could stand 2 kilometers away from Ben Nevis and you can estimate its height using a vertical angle. That's what I'm saying.
2 kilometers away, how would you know what elevation you're starting from?
Oh, so you'd have a datum. Like, let's say you were standing next to a canal.
So
Okay.
the actual elevation of that bit that you're standing on, that has been measured and
Yes.
on
that's
the
what I was-
vertical
that-
datum.
Yes.
Right, well
yes.
that's
So
what
you
I'm
have to have a
talking
starting
about.
point.
I'm talking
You have
about
to-
the 99.999% of actual elevation measurements. That's what I'm talking about. And I know you're talking about a vertical of a mountain, right?
Yeah,
I know
but,
there's a
but, but you were
difference.
saying that you don't measure vertical angle over distance. And I'm saying that's ridiculous. That's how you measure heights of mountains from a distance.
Mhm.
So
But
anyway,
that doesn't
I
need
gotta
to be
go.
done when you do the azimuthal and the trigonometric triangulation. It can be
Well,
done at
I
a
would-
different time, couldn't it? You just need to put
Yes.
the elevations at a different time. As long as
Preferably
you
you
know
measure
where
everything-
those points are,
Yeah,
you can
but
then at a
preferably-
later date add in the actual elevations with contour lines and the like.
Preferably when you have your theodolite in place, you want to take as many measurements from that location as possible. But
But if
Bev,
you
I
don't
gotta
know,
go.
if you don't
I'm gonna
know the
spend some.
elevation,
Well, you're gonna take all the notes down in your notebook, okay? When your theodolite's in place. I'm gonna spend some time with my family. I know Kevin is very concerned with how much time I spend with my family.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and good on you for doing that because
All right,
the kids are precious. I'm sure.
yeah.
Yes,
Leave the
they're-
surveyors
they're-
alone, Charles.
They're
Please.
precious and ridiculous. I'm sorry. What did you say,
I
Bev?
said, please leave the surveyors alone.
I will try to leave them alone. Hey, it's always a pleasure talking with you, Bev. Rumpus still doesn't know anything, and it's great talking with you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Triangulation method of triangles have 180 degrees. You just heard the first ever maths teacher to claim that he's measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Isn't that good?
History in the making.
That's a maths teacher. I challenge any other. If there's any others, I mean, like, he might be the only person to have actually measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Definitely the first maths teacher to ever have done it. In reality,
and he also said in the opening statement that he doesn't think two contradictory statements, like ideas in your mind, is a problem. That you can have two contradictory ideas.
He thinks definitions can contradict themselves. He didn't come in last night. Mike Jones says, quoting Fem, Rumpus still doesn't know anything. I think that's a bit unfair.
Absolutely. I'm sure Rumpus has some kind of expertise. I mean, maybe that's a fallacy, right? That was probably a fallacy on Flat Earth Math's part, where he said Rumpus doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
That was probably a fallacy. I don't know which one, but it was probably a fallacy.
It's likely that Rumpus at some time might know something, right? It's highly likely that there's a possibility that he would know something, at least. So yeah, I think we could say that Fem doesn't really know. That's probably a little bit dishonest from Fem. I think they're just joking anyway. So Rumpus and Fem, they're really good friends.
I think they probably are. Yeah. Can I just say, I had to jump in there because Flat Earth Math, while he was I think projecting a little bit that you were interrupting, he was doing the same thing by claiming a logical fallacy that he didn't have. So we're going to hold people accountable to the words that they use, and especially Flat Earth Math, because he was one of the people, if you recall some of the conversations we've had with him and some of the videos we've listened to him on, is very, very keen on using precise language and making sure that that we're using the precise language correctly. So when someone claims a logical fallacy but can't back up the claim of what the logical fallacy is, they need to be called out. Especially here, they're going to be called out.
Yeah, but I can remember us going over this, or when back in the day, right? There is a group of people that, like Charles said then, he doesn't know the names of all of the logical fallacies. Well, knowing the names of them, that's not knowing the logical fallacy. You have to know why the logical fallacy is, not just the name of it. And that's where Charles is lacking badly.
Well, that's a theme. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's a theme with Charles, is to be able to go into a Discord server and claim some sort of expertise in something that he admittedly has no expertise in, while at the same time claiming, but I can read. Well, everyone can read, right? Anyone can grab a textbook. Anyone can look at, let's say, a repair manual for an automobile, but not everyone can actually do it, even if they have the information from the textbook.
Yeah, it's just shadows, right? Shadows
absolutely.
On the wall.
Absolutely. Also, I'm sure Flat Earth Math would then have to admit that no textbook ever has had an agenda, been wrong, had an error in it, or anything else. That doesn't exist in in Charles's world of academia, I'm sure. I know academicians, and those people actually believe what I just said. They don't think that there are errors in textbooks or in manuals or mistakes that are made that have to be corrected later on or agendas. They actually don't think that. That's why people in academia are quite honestly, most of them, I would say, are probably useless in any practical situation outside of a school. That's just a fact. So, good on Charles. Charles, go do stuff in reality.
He has.
Go,
he says he's the first teacher to have measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees.
I would be happy. I would be happier if Charles would maybe get it would be good for him, right? Get a second skill, Charles, because you never know when academia might fall on its freaking face and no one goes to school anymore for you to teach them. Could happen. So perhaps becoming a surveyor might be a good idea. Go through, read the textbooks, become a surveyor, or at least maybe get a certificate in surveying. See how it's actually done. Go to the field, use an auto level, use a measuring rod. Figure out what actually happens in the field. Then at least you can come back, and when you're having a conversation with someone who has done those things, actually has a certificate, has actually done some surveying, then you'd be in a much better position to speak equally. Otherwise, you're speaking from ignorance, as Bev said. That's my 2 cents with Flat Math. But I am glad he's spending time with the kids.
Well,
it's excellent.
Contradiction. Didn't Charles tell us he was a maths teacher?
He did, yes.
Okay.
That
Rumpus says, Charles knows enough to teach to kids about basic geometry. He knows next to nothing of philosophy, logic, and the basis of maths and geometry. He doesn't teach students. That's Rumpus. Now, I'd say that's what we call slanderous, Rumpus. I mean, you'd have to back that up because Charles says he's a maths teacher. His credibility is that he is a mathematics teacher and he teaches children. Rumpus is stating that he doesn't teach students. That's a direct claim, Rumpus. The red herring fallacy is asking him if he's ever done it. I'd say this little joke that Rumpus has got going with Charles is, I don't know. I think you should sort it out, guys. I mean, if you both want to come in and have a discussion about this, I think we could get it sorted about who knows the most or the littlest about the topics that you guys keep talking about.
Absolutely. Let's read the rest of Charles's comment here, because he's saying to me that it's the red herring fallacy. That's it. That's what it is. We'll probably go over that someday so we can make sure that everybody understands what a red herring fallacy is. He says he agrees with what I was saying about mistakes made in textbooks and the potential for bias. Good luck finding the errors or bias in the diagram in surveying for engineers showing the difference between horizontal and level. I will say again what Bev has said. Mike Jones has $1,000 out for any surveyor to come in here. Never mind what a textbook says. For a surveyor to come into this Discord server and tell us how level deviates from horizontal. That, I suppose, Mike is in here. I don't know if he can come off of mute. But I'm pretty sure that offer still stands. In fact, at some point, Mike may up that amount. So
my offer,
pretty sure there's many offers, right?
My offer is to find a single surveyor who can demonstrate how to establish level without simultaneously establishing horizontal. Your goal is to establish level that is not horizontal and describe the process for doing it. Simple. Find a surveyor. Bring them on.
Should be easy.
$1,000.
It's in
Should
the
be simple.
textbooks. It's in the textbooks.
Find the
Should be
textbook.
simple.
Find the textbook that describes the process for it. How to establish level that is not horizontal. Rooting for you, little buddies.
The hubris is staggering. It's absolutely staggering.
Remember, what we're talking about is we went over the definitions. One of the definitions was that a level surface is a surface that cuts every plumb line, all plumb lines perpendicularly that it meets. That's no different than horizontal within a dictionary. So you'd have to think, or you'd have to have the ability to think that surveyors go against the dictionary definitions. That's if you were to believe somebody who's admittedly knows nothing about it and has never practically done any of this. Why you'd want to take the word of that person. And it goes to show, Mike has said that he's offered this. There will be no surveyors come forward for this. This is the reason Jesse Kozlowski is not around anymore. There's another guy who used to claim that he lived in Maine and had a profession. He's not around anymore either. He can't come and explain it. There will be nobody to come and explain this. Because we all just live in reality. Everybody knows level is horizontal. You can predicate level of horizontal and you can predicate horizontal of level.
So Charles agrees that horizontal is level.
Yeah. And he establishes that a triangle measured in a horizontal plane, i.e. azimuthal plane, has 180 degrees. Yet when he measures the angles on the azimuthal, he claims to have measured more.
More. Yeah, yeah.
And remember, again, it's worth pointing this stuff out, right? Charles claimed there was no azimuthal plane. Bev puts the actual dictionary definition of azimuthal plane in the live chat, and he won't address it. Won't address it, didn't address it. I was going to come off of mute and make him address it, but, you know, it's useless.
Mm-hmm. They ignore dictionary definitions whilst claiming that anybody that goes with the dictionary definitions is wrong. Triggered away in the chat. Look at them all. Blue marble scientists. Measuring triangles of more than 180 degrees. I mean, whoa, one of the lone rangers of dogmatics is gone solo and claimed that he's measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Challenge is on. He must be better than Rump. I've never heard Rumpus claim that he's measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Nor Blue Marble Science. It's impossible, right? But hey, for the globe, for the dogmatic globe, Charles is just doing the best there. He did. Level is horizontal practically. Whenever you actually practically use a level, it establishes a horizontal rumpus. Yes, Charles did agree on that. Everybody would agree on that. Remember, this is just a claim about level and horizontal. What makes people imagine that triangles have more than 180 degrees? Why would people have a problem with level being horizontal? It is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference, so how can you imagine that it doesn't? That's too sounds contradictory, and I can't imagine why anybody would do that. Can anybody beat that? Has anybody claimed to have actually measured triangles with more than 180 degrees? That's a first for me. I've heard people speak of it, and within fantastic geometries, right?
Yeah.
But that's the first person I've ever heard actually claim that they did actually measure a triangle with more than 180 degrees. You all heard it, right?
Absolutely. And Charles is very keen on the preciseness of language. He did say measure.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say calculate. He said measure.
Yeah,
actually measure. Speaking of being clear in concise language, there's something else, because Charles responded to me and said, I said there is no azimuthal plane across the entire United States. Now, I don't know, Bev, if you were talking about the United States specifically when you were talking about the azimuthal plane that he said there is none of. I don't think you were, but we can go back and listen to the tape. The dictionary definition Bev showed in live chat was correct. Thank you, Charles, for stating that. It's what you have at the instrument, all uppercase text, yelling, which is exactly what I said in voice chat. I don't remember that, but you still said there was no azimuthal plane. So that is what you said in the voice chat. Please quote me correctly. I get misquoted literally all the time. Literally all the time. Is that precise? Or is that hyperbolic, do we think?
Right, it says azimuth plane, the horizontal plane in which the azimuth is measured. Now, he was measuring angles on the azimuth, right? Azimuthal angles. So therefore, that is the horizontal plane. Now, it says the. Remember what Betty was saying the other day? It's like a signifier, right? That's a definite. So you know what you're talking about when you say the.
Specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
So the horizontal plane. Now, was Charles putting a size to a plane? He's a mathematician, right? He just claimed to be
he wouldn't do that, would he? He wouldn't do that, would he?
No. Did he? He did.
A limit
say
to a
something
plane?
About it. Is it different in America? Do we have a different plane? Or a different understanding of what a plane is within mathematics in America?
I don't think so.
You know those Americans, they want to change everything.
You are right about that, Steve. I can see that point. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, you see his last statement? Flat Earth math, 31 past.
Level is not identical to horizontal with distance. Level deviates from horizontal at the rate of 8 inches per mile squared, but the theodolite, they're the same where you are, both perpendicular to vertical plumb.
So only at one point.
Yep.
Single point geometry. Yeah.
And every other point that you measure a horizontal, that you establish a horizontal, every single point that you establish a horizontal, it will be level. Every single point.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that is the crux of Mike's $1,000.
Well, yeah.
They have to have dialethism.
Like I say, if we can we please keep surveyors out of this? They don't need to be brought into it. And I've said, they're not going to come. And if they were to come and say anything, there is a group of people who would obviously tell them that they're wrong. These people who know nothing about it. Charles would be no different if a surveyor came here. Right? If a surveyor came here and said, yes, we need to have level being horizontal because that's what our job is. We use that. We use the azimuthal. We use the horizontal plane. It doesn't deviate from level. It is level. They won't come in here and say that. I wish they would, but they can't, because there is a group of people who just slander people for no apparent reason. It's not going to change. These people aren't going to change. You've experienced it tonight. People know nothing about something, yet they're willing to claim everything. He said all surveyors. He said that. He knows nothing about it. I'll put this in here in the chat because this is quite level. Is a line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines that it meets, and hence would coincide with a surface of still water. Part B, the plane of the horizon or a line in it, as in horizontal. It's what Charles is saying, that something drops from the horizontal is ridiculous. Like all elevations profiles show, there is no drop. It's a ridiculous claim that was made by Jesse Kozlowski. He was the first person that I ever heard, much like tonight I've heard flat earth mathematics, a teacher, claimed to be teacher, saying that he's actually measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. When I finally tracked down Jesse Kozlowski and got him to answer that question, he said that level drops from horizontal. Now, he's never spoken another word publicly since then. He's had to go away. He can't answer any more questions about it because he can't back up his words. He's just handed down a paralogism for people like flat earth math and blue marble science and the blue marble scientists, people like Rumpus. Charles, that definition 6A is of level and 6B is of level. They are the same. That's why level is horizontal. There's no difference between the two. If anybody else thinks that they can separate those two definitions, have to be mad. A line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines that it meets, and hence would everywhere coincide with a surface of still water. Can we stick to the triangles having more than 180 degrees? Anyone think that's ridiculous? Anybody think that in all of the statements of philosophers and all of that, people have said that even God can't add more degrees to a triangle than 180, sum of two right angles? Do you think flat earth mathematics understands that and he's elevating himself above God?
Must have, because he claims he measured it. Claims he did it in reality. Measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees.
That would be very mystical experience.
Mm-hmm. He did, again, preciseness of language, right? He did say that. Everybody else agree, right? We can go back to the tape and look.
I will be going back. That's one of those things that I'm going to cut that. It's going to have to be cut. And nobody else has ever said that to me. It's like Jesse Kozlowski saying that the water level drops from the horizontal at a rate of 8 inches times the distance in miles squared. I can remember the words. I can remember him saying it. There's not been many people that have said that and claimed to be a surveyor. In fact, there's only one, really. Jesse Kozlowski, and he disappeared. Other people have tried to say it in different ways. But Flat Earth map is the first for the measurement.
Right. I was just going to say, just many people have just made the claim that triangles have more than 180 degrees. But yeah, I agree with you. I've never heard anybody say they actually measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. It's
It'd be
amazing.
a bit hard to do trigonometry, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, because trigonometry relies on triangles having 180 degrees, doesn't it?
The exactness of trigonometry.
Of a triangle.
The whole thing relies upon triangles having 180 degrees, right? It's not just because we say so. It's because it has to be like that. There's no way of getting around it. Fantastic. We do have another one as well that Mike is sort of developing with our friend Wally. He's got can I run you through it? It's I can't show you a picture because that's half of the thing, right? This is mental maths, right? You've got a square, 111, was it miles or kilometers? I think it's miles. Let's say miles, right? Each side, 111 miles. You're going to make a square on the ground. And then at each point of this, each corner, you're going to construct a 111 mile of verticals. Right? And then at each of these points, the vertical points at 111 miles, you're going to join those points up. Right? Now, you have a square. Question is, will that square be sides of 111 kilometers or miles? You don't need to answer. That's the quandary, right? It's just a mathematical question for you to be able to ask people wherever you are, if they're mathematicians and they know anything about squares and cubes. Ask what shape could you call it? So would there be anything you could derive from those statements? Square on the ground, 4 verticals of side length. Call it unit length. Could say that the square on the ground are at an equal elevation, right? All 4 points, equal elevation. Goes along a little bit with what we've been going over. Four points, equal elevation, 111 kilometers or miles apart, just a unit apart. But obviously, large unit, right? You can call it one, but you know, for instance, for the idea of the guy that's done the thing, and then I suppose you could call volume of the supposed shape, right? Just a random. I'm thinking of putting that on mathematics, right? You could definitely put it out there to the internet people. Call it like a reality, theoretical reality mathematics. Would it be, would that sort of a question be a mathematical question, or is it delving into the realms of philosophy?
I had to step away. Can you repeat that question? I didn't.
I'm still trying to formulate it, right? This is
Okay.
from Wally, right? So you've got a square, 4 distances, 111 miles, kilometers. I can't even remember which one it is, one or the other. And you make a square. Now, I think you'd have to, I don't think he made proviso, but I think you could say that they are all equal elevation, these 4 points. So you make a square of 111 miles. And then each one of the points, you call them A, B, C, D.
Yep.
You have verticals of 111 miles, kilometers, right? Unit.
Off of each of those points, verticals
Yes.
off of each of those points.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the beginnings of a cube. It sounds like.
Well, yes. Well, that's the question is, when you to join up those top parts together,
yes,
would there be a square of 111 unit again? Could you use the unit cubed for the volume of such the shape that you've just made, or would there be other things? And if you were to ask that question, would that be like a reality mathematical question, or does it delve into the realms of philosophy rather than
I think, well, I think
it's theoretical, obviously, too big.
Yeah, of course it is. Absolutely. But I think for Wally, it's absolutely philosophical. But it sounds to me like it's simply mathematical. If you have, if somehow you had 4 points and lines drawn between the 4 points at 111 kilometers from point to point to point in a square, then you have a square of 111 kilometers. If you then take vertical lines from each of those points, 111 kilometers in vertically from each of those 4 points, then yeah, you're gonna the top square, if you will, is also going to be 111 kilometers for each one of the lines connecting those 4 points on the top of the verticals. I mean, it should be fairly
Would
simple.
you even imagine dogma coming into that?
No, it's simply it doesn't matter what the number is that you place upon it, whether it's 1 or 111, and it doesn't matter if it's kilometers or inches or millimeters. It doesn't matter. This is where I said philosophy comes in, because I'm sure someone in this conversation, that'd be Wally, is thinking that it matters what's beneath it. And it doesn't at all matter what's beneath it.
It would go against the a line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines that it meets. So that would be, you know, that would be complying to this, right? Level would be the line or plane that cuts all of those plumb lines, the verticals, from A, B, C, and D. Going along with the dictionary definition, right?
Indeed.
111 kilometers. There you go. So he's got a perpendicularity problem. Remember when I did a thing about measuring a 1 degree change over 69 miles? And that's just the light in the sky. And, you know, a 1 degree change. Seems like Wally's thinking that means, well, don't know. I don't even want to say it. I'll leave Wally to explain that. But I go with the line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines that it meets. So the square at the base would meet all of those plumb lines and cut them perpendicularly. And therefore the square at the top would also be. That's just my basic understanding of the mathematical principles. What could we ask that a few questions, right? What shape would you call that? Anyone want to be brave enough to name that shape? I'll go first. It's a cube. It's a cube. Now, anyone else? Any blue marble scientists, right? Because I think I'll speak for on the level for that particular thing. The shape would be called a cube, providing that all of the 4 points are placed at an equal elevation. Then you would make a cube if you stayed to 1 unit. Distance for all the sides and the verticals. It's a shame that there will be no blue marble scientist representation other than the new superstar, one flat earth mathematics teacher that has measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Doing much better than any of the blue marble scientists. They could only dream about measuring triangles with more than 180 degrees. I mean, they could. Somebody else could have wrote it down for them, but they've never said that they've actually measured it themselves. There's a few people claim to have wrote it down. I mean, you can. It's definitely possible for you to write down a number bigger than 180. The impossible part comes when you are measuring the internal angles of a triangle, and they will only ever be exactly the sum of 2 right angles, 180 degrees. It's the only shape that does that. They call it a bit special, right? And it's special because of that. Always the same. Every time. No matter the lengths of the sides of the triangle. They will always have 180 degrees. Or pi. I think it's pi. Pi radians. Always. You can't go messing about with that. Special number. Transcendental. Isn't that strange that pi radians is 180? So the actual 180 is linked to pi, because they have 2 pi radians, don't they? It's almost like the logic derives the mathematics in a way. The close link between the semicircle and the triangle. Do you know that all right-angled triangles will fit within a semicircle? That's the link between pi and 180 degrees. It's the right angle of the triangle that's formed internally within the semicircle. It's fantastic, really. It's sort of mathematics. Yeah, we've got a guy who's claimed to be a mathematics teacher that says he can fit some more angles in there. It's impossible, right? Because 2 semicircles make a circle. But if you're trying to fit more angles into a semicircle, then you're going to necessarily have to fit more into a circle. And that sounds fucking ridiculous, right? Nobody had claimed that you could do that. Oh, wait a minute. Flat Earth Mathematics has said he's literally said that. Fantastic claims made by people for no apparent reason. You heard it here first. That's never going to go, that. Jesse Kozlowski, you know what happened to him after he said something ridiculous that he couldn't back up? Wonder if we're going to crown a new king of mathematics. Rumpus, I can remember Rumpus telling everybody he was the one that taught everyone about mathematics and all of that sort of stuff. Wonder whether Rumpus taught him how to measure more than 180 degrees. Oh, that's good, that. It's like Pythagoras, isn't he? It's like the modern day Pythagoras. See, this is what we've been waiting for, right? We did need, I've been saying for a bit, we need a modern day Einstein. Because the dogmatic model has become so fucking ridiculous that we've been waiting for this. Finally, he has arisen. Claims to know nothing about surveyors yet. Is the man that has measured more than 180 degrees in a triangle. A fantastic claim. Now, I know he said within this arena, That doesn't mean you can just make shit up. We are all living in reality, right? Every one of us here. We still have to have these natural laws, right? The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction. And, well, it depends on how you want to deal with the excluded middle. But it seems like they do want to violate the law of identity. They want level to have two different meanings. It doesn't. You can't have contradictory meanings. And obviously, the law of identity is that closely linked to the law of non-contradiction. That why would you want to have a law of identity if you could contradict that law? Makes no sense. It's actually nonsense. Somebody else, another fantastic claim in the chat. Yes, whoever that is. Probably somebody who we know. Yes, level is provably horizontal. And spherical triangles don't actually exist. Just the triangles that have 180 degrees are the only measurable triangles. Although there is a new mathematics guru for people that want, and if you do want to know how to measure triangles with more than 180 degrees, then I'd suggest going talking to a guy called Flat Earth Mathematics. Don't be put off by his name. He's the one that's literally made the ridiculous claim, so there's nothing different there. Sorry, has anybody else got any other statement? I'm absolutely stunned. I want to go and get that clipped out.
Yeah, it's been quite a revelation today.
Fantastic claims led by, I'm pretty sure, people, specialists. I'm pretty sure Flat Earth Mathematics is a specialist within what he does. And what is it that he does again? What's his speciality?
He's a math teacher.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes fantastic claims about
we don't know
possibilities.
Yeah, we don't know for who necessarily, because Rumpus's claim is he teaches kids and not students. I don't necessarily know what the difference is here in the U.S. Students are students. As long as you're in school, you're a student. But yeah,
being taught makes you a student.
I mean, he did say he was used to interruptions and such from whoever, but that's not surprising given, Charles's, shall we say, demeanor in a conversation. He likes to be the smartest person in the room when he has absolutely no practical experience in it at all. I wonder how it's like for Charles taking his car in to be serviced. Do you think he actually goes in and tells the mechanic what he needs to do and how he's read a book on, like changing a catalytic converter or something? Wish Rob Keane were here. He might be able to comment on these things. Of course, Rob would be what you call an actual practical expert who's done it for years.
Yeah, that's what I would do, right? I would, if I wanted to talk to somebody to find something out, I would definitely go and ask them, and that's what I do all the time. Now, normally you wouldn't wait for somebody to stroll into the Discord channel to start telling you about it when they themselves admit to knowing nothing about it. I mean, that very procedure seems, I don't know, is that specific to this arena, or does that go on everywhere? Are there self-proclaimed experts that know nothing, ignorant experts, could we say?
I think it's a personality type. I mean, I have known a couple of people like that in my lifetime, that just, you know, act like and speak like they know everything or something about everything or everything about something. I'm not sure, but clearly out of their depth when they haven't actually done, you know, whatever the particular topic is. There's no expertise in it. They haven't done it. They don't know what the you know, ins and outs are of it, whatever the it is happens to be. But to me, it's a personality type. I don't know if it's specific to this arena. Just maybe this arena has more of them.
People that want to partake of giving their expertise, which is none, in all sorts of different subjects. Look at that one. Do you accept that level and horizontal have different dictionary definitions? Separate words. You can predicate of level horizontal. You can predicate of horizontal level.
Indeed.
It's as simple as that. The fact that they are different words is pretty obvious. So I don't know who our new friend is. Pop into the Discord.
Yeah, come on in.
It's obviously somebody who's ashamed to be who they are, because they're talking to Blue Marble Science. So it's one of those scripted setups. Obviously a Blue Marble scientist. A sophist. Blue Marble Science, the Blue Marble scientist, states that surveying books have different definitions than the dictionary definitions. They have a whole new definition section, all of their own, claims a Blue Marble scientist. How many textbooks have come with their own definitions? Anyone? I know of only one. It's called The Elements, and it starts off with definitions and then axioms.
Yeah, but somehow those definitions don't matter, right?
Well, do you think a surveying textbook that obviously uses geometric principles would come with different definitions
than
at
geometry?
the beginning of it? Yeah, I think it would come with its own definitions.
If it did, I would be very concerned about learning the thing that I'm learning if it was different than geometry.
Well, we've got another Blue Marble
doing.
scientist in the chat claiming that is the case. But that's it, just claiming that's the case.
That's wonderful.
No supporting evidence or anything. No verbal communication about it, no ability to be able to come in and claim the $1,000 to charity thing, to just go over it. I mean, that's all it would take. An actual surveyor to come on and explain the claims of the blue marble scientists, flat earth mathematicians, making extraordinary claims on the behalf of people. I'd say just keep out of it. I've said I don't want to bring surveyors into this at all, because they won't come into it. Blue marble scientists claims and flat earth mathematicians. Do you think you could back up flat earth mathematics ability to measure triangles with more than 180 degrees, Blue? Or would that shatter your stolen concept? And what is a stolen concept an aporia? Contradiction within the terms.
Good question. We might have to dig into that. It's a really good question, I think.
Do you think, Paper? Would a stolen concept be classed as a contradiction within the premises, showing refutation of the very premises themselves? It's a contradiction, isn't it? I would say so. I'd say so. Anybody that handing over an aporia is actually handing over the concept of a stolen concept fallacy. You're just handing over fallacies, paralogisms. It's not a triangle, Blue. Literally. You know, triangles, they have 180 degrees. I think Blue's trying his best, right? He's obviously feels a little bit jealous. He can't do it as good as flat earth mathematics. You're gonna have to try much harder than that, Blue. Trust me, I'm a scientist. I like that one. Blue Marble says, "Don't you own a globe, Bev?" Yeah, I've got a few of them. He says, "It's easy to make a triangle. Make it now." Blue, flat Earth mathematics has said he can measure. But still, I'd like to see Blue. Would anybody else like to see Blue Marble make a triangle with 270 degrees? You should put that in a video, Blue.
Make one in reality? That would be
Let's
phenomenal.
Make it, yeah.
Yeah.
Make a triangle.
I'd love to see that.
How to make a triangle with 270 degrees. Get like
Awesome.
get your balsa wood out. Get Bob in on it. Bob's good at making little models. Night. Blue Marble Science says he can make a triangle with 270 degrees. Are you impressed?
I'm impressed that he thinks you own the globe. You have several.
I have. We've got a few. Tis globe. Fantastic. I'd say drawing lines on a ball won't be able to add more than 180 degrees to a triangle.
Definitely not law of identity. Triangle can only have 180 degrees. Sorry.
I guess I live within different laws of reality, right? My understanding of reality won't allow me to have a triangle with more than 180 degrees. But hey, this is modern day times, right? Modern day mathematics. Blue Marble Science, he's a bit old. Flat Earth mathematics, he's the fresh guy. He has actually measured it. He did it for Brian Leakey, I think. I think that's what he said. Present.
Is that why? Is that why? Yeah. Is that why Brian hasn't been around? Yeah, I haven't seen Brian in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he hasn't been around. He's got his Flat Earth math showed him how to measure a spherical triangle or a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Be fantastic.
Wow, everybody's making a joke of it now. The simple fact is that it's a basic fundamental understanding of mathematics that triangles have 180 degrees. Everybody can laugh and joke about the ridiculousness of it not being that, but I mean, it's just an absurdity. There've been many statements. Even God, with his ability to do whatever you want to put into God, whatever powers, you do not give God the ability to add more angles to a triangle than 180. It's ridiculous. Blue Marble cannot catch up to the ridiculousness, the absurdities that the new modern mathematics. I mean, the guy himself is called Flat Earth Mathematics, and he is the one that has claimed to have measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees in America, no less. Had to be in America, right? You Americans always do stuff first. At least you can claim that, you know, the first guy to have measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees.
I will say, as an American, I will admit that we are known for having imaginations and thinking outside of the box and those types of things.
They do everything big in Texas.
Yeah, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Triangles? You have triangles with more than 180 degrees in Texas?
Not that I've seen as big as Texas is, but, you know, I haven't measured every triangle, but I have measured some. All the ones I've measured have 180 degrees.
Paid nasty shill. Slightly dishonest. To miss out part B, isn't it? It's about contradictory definitions. Paid nasty shill. Part B, parallel with the plane of the horizon, horizontal. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference there, isn't there? With, you know, in terms of being honest with what you're doing. Like, this is where we've got the idea of on the level versus blue marble scientists. Versus the blue marble scientist, as Betty claimed. Can you have a dictionary definition that contradicts itself in part A and B? Going along with the law of identity. And who are the people that are claiming a definition to prove anything? Because there is an actual proof that level is horizontal. They're both an equal elevation. There is no slope, no elevation change to level. And there is no slope to a horizontal. And one cannot deviate from the other, since they are both the same thing. Rumpus admitting we use Euclidean geometry in reality all the time. And triangles within Euclidean geometry have 180 degrees, Rumpus. All the time. So, as we know, Rumpus likes to contradict everybody all the time. Because that's how Rumpus manages to work. But this time, the claim was made by Flat Earth Mathematics. So is Rumpus going to contradict himself about Euclidean geometry being used all the time and triangles with more than 180 degrees? Yes. Yes, he is. The people that can contradict themselves in the chat, obviously, they're the ones that can't come in and talk. So they just sit in the chat. Has anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? I don't want to be talking about people that don't want to talk about stuff and just talking rubbish in the chat. So can we either get rid of them or start another conversation, please?
I love how some people pick and choose their parts of a definition as if they don't go together. Did you see that in the live chat? It's phenomenal.
I have to get this one because this is a comment that can anybody just we'll go over this.
Oh man.
Blue Marble Scientist asks, he wants us to get in here. He says, dead dogs don't make sounds. Dead cats don't make sounds. Therefore, dead dogs are dead cats. Is that what you just said, Bev?
Yes, you just said that literally.
Because I read it out.
Yes, you did. But before that, no, you were not talking about dead dogs or dead cats or sounds.
Can you imagine why Blue Marble Science might have that going round in his head? Like, you know, all of the confusion that you hear. That's the sort of stuff that will be going on in Blue's head, and he's thinking,
Yeah.
I'll just have to write that down just to make sure that, you know, no, Blue, you're hearing those voices in your head. I didn't actually say that. Nothing like that. Blue, you're imagining these sort of things. You should get the cocoa and go and have a little lie down. It appears you're having one of your episodes. You shouldn't be doing these sort of things publicly, Blue.
And this would be some faulty logic, by the way. But we know, you know, Blue's not big into logic. How do we know that, Bev? How can I make the statement that Blue and company aren't that big into logic, do you think?
That's because they did have somebody who claimed to be a logician go round there and give a presentation, and they've they've never addressed it. There's no
not
comment
once.
at all. Nobody dare comment about it.
What was it? 15 minutes? If that, I would think it might be.
No, I think
being
it was
generous.
near half-hour conversation.
Was it half an hour conversation? And a presentation by Betty?
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Proof, an a priori proof, claimed to be. Obviously, they can't even discuss it. It's that bad.
So yeah, logic, not the strong suit, Blue.
And he's been beat tonight as well within spherical Blue Marble. Like Blue Marble has never measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. He's been put down. He's been put in his place by flat earth mathematics.
Shown up.
Yeah.
One-upped.
It's because he never gets out there. He never goes out and does anything. He doesn't even go to the bottom end of his garden and look at the lights in the sky.
But we know people that have done that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, that video that we need to go over, you know, the one that screenshot I showed the other day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll love to know where that video came from and what that's about.
I'm thrilled to get that.
So we'll go over that. Have I got somebody in the chat calling me a sad charlatan? Yeah, if these people that are making these accusations actually had anything, it is called Free for All Friday. Anybody can come on out in here, as you've seen. Flat Earth Mathematics has come in and made one of the most extravagant claims anybody could ever make.
Mm-hmm.
He betted
historical.
God.
Historical claim.
Yeah.
Historical. Absolutely.
There isn't even a superhero within Marvel or any of the other whatever things, I don't know, that can add more angles to a triangle than 180 degrees. It doesn't exist. It's just not possible. Nobody can do it. Except Flat Earth Mathematics. Surprisingly enough. And I don't think Blue Marble Science and the Blue Marble scientists have accepted this new rising superstar. We don't want you to come in, Rumpus. We're talking about anybody else. We know that nobody can defend Flat Earth Mathematics. And you definitely couldn't, Rumpus. He's way better than you, right? You have never claimed to have measured more than 180 degrees. In fact, I'm not even sure that Rumpus knows that triangles have actually 180 degrees in the first place. I don't think Rumpus even knows how to prove that triangles have 180 degrees. How that proof would work.
The struggle is real in the YouTube live chat.
Yeah, they're all scrambling now, right? The
Yep.
flat Earth mathematics is leading the way. He's holding the crown, running around with the torch, and everybody else is struggling to catch up. Especially Rumpus. I mean, Rumpus, what use is Rumpus now?
None.
He used to say he was a mathematics, yeah.
Yeah, you got the flat earther with the flat earth math name.
He's got math in his name.
One-upped Rumpus and Blue.
Well, I don't think there's much else to be said. Other than the fact that the claim to be a dogmatician with the question argument about that not being addressed. I mean, we did predict that, right? Along with the Jesse Kozlowski not being able to come back, there never being any ability of a surveyor to be able to come in here and show the method to show how level deviates from horizontal. That'll never happen. Blue Marble Science will never present any of this evidence that he's claiming. Nope. He can't beat flat earth mathematics, and to be quite honest, this dogmatic globe, I mean, he'll never be able to address the logical reasoning behind why Betty's aporia is rubbish. He won't be able to do it. He can't defend it, and he can't even say why he can't defend it. Like Ranty going up a mountain, up a hill with an auto level. It's never going to happen. Like Rumpus's rec test. It'll never happen.
Just before we put the logic piece to bed, let me say, while Flat Earth Math claimed a fallacy of UBEV and then couldn't name what the fallacy was until he got offline and looked it up, there is a logical fallacy happening in the YouTube live chat right now. It's called a begging the question fallacy. Look that one up, Blue. I'll leave it there. Let's see if the YouTube chat gang can call out what the begging the question fallacy is.
Blue Marbles drawing on balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have been going over the sophist. So, Blue, and anybody else out there listening, if you've got a bit of spare time, go on YouTube, click Plato Sophist or Plato Gorgias, 2 plays. Well, I think one of them's about 3 hours, the other one's about 2.5 hours. Well worth a listen to, just to listen to the communication, how people, these dialogues, how the conversation goes back and forth. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky, but I think that there is value to be gained in understanding how a sophist works and the contradictory positions that even discussing certain things have. Well worth listening to. I think we'll be going over it this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, humorous as well. If you're into a little bit of humor, Gorgias, very funny.
Yeah,
very funny.
And the sophist again, yeah, much more.
Yeah. Much like the humor going on in the YouTube live chat right now. There's a bit of Gorgias happening here. Don't you think, Bev?
claimed to be geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
Drawing triangles on balls.
The new pastimes.
See,
used to be people would play cards and stuff like that. What do you do for fun? Oh, I draw lines on balls. I mean, don't you? No, really don't.
To prove that triangles have more than 180 degrees.
Could you imagine that conversation with like a normal mathematics teacher, geometry teacher?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm watching you do a proof of a triangle having 180 degrees, but have you ever drawn a line on a ball?
Oh, goodness. It is Free for All Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the conversations with mathematicians will obviously never enter this arena either. Because what would a mathematician say? A mathematician can't have triangles being more than 180 degrees. Only dogmaticians. So there'll never be a mathematician to come in here and claim that he's measured triangles with more than 180 degrees. Mathematicians know and understand exactly the processes involved within measuring the angles. They're Euclidean through planes. Not triangles, just individual angles. People can see that, right? People in reality can understand how these things go about. At least when they get chance to slow down and take each of the steps within the advanced simplicity and the understanding of it, then it becomes very simple. But there are dogmaticians and obfuscators that just want to confuse people into non-arguments. And Blue, it probably would be hilarious, yes. But that's not what you'd want to do. Like, why would anybody? You have to read the sophist. They have to listen to the sophist at least. And then I think people might be able to get to see the position that we're actually coming from. Rumpus, look, let me I'll get this, because I went over this last night. Right, this is a clip from Rumpus. Just try and find this clip that I've got here as well to go along with it. I think it's that one. Right, so this clip here, Rumpus says, mathematicians insist that triangles can have more than 180 degrees. It was mathematicians which discovered non-Euclidean geometry. Have you never read any geometry or maths books? Claims Rumpus. Right, now this next bit, you guys just have a listen to this. I think it's only 30 odd seconds, so I'm going to play it. So,
have you seen the scary Open University program about non-Euclidean geometry?
I can't remember now. Yeah.
Dev has actually got
Rumpus.
clips of it. He occasionally puts into his videos, and it's got the bearded guy showing you this, and trying to understand that Open University program. I've seen it about 3 times, and it's still, I can't quite get it right. I still can't fully understand what they're saying.
Is this something from the 70s by any chance?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Rumpus cannot understand it. He's watched it 3 times. He can't work out what it is. That's the one where Rumpus says, mathematicians insist that triangles can have more than 180 degrees. Because Rumpus has gone over the video that we have in the You Don't Understand and the Don't Take Advice from Fools Buster songs. You might have seen the guy with the triangles. Booley. They're there in the background, right? These people that Rumpus is claiming. He's claimed to have not understood it. Yet, he's willing to just write the shadows on the walls. With no understanding. It's strange that, isn't it? That Rumpus can't understand the video that we put in the You Don't Understand.
That is pretty ironic, isn't it?
Might be more within that video than most people have even seen. They're not making the connection between the actual... Rumpus says he can't understand all of the program. What do you mean we don't understand any of it, Rumpus? It's called You Don't Understand. We know you don't understand. We do. And we'll go over it. There's quite a few things within that. I went over it last night. Same with the shorter than a straight line problem that gets caused.
Oh dear.
Yeah, there's loads of them. I'm telling you. All of this stuff that goes round in circles that you guys perhaps may not have been fully aware of. These guys are helping us out. Have we ever been over the non-Euclidean BBC thing? Because we can go over it. I'm a bit scared to do it with it because the BBC are very strict.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it on a live show. Yeah. I think they'd probably copyright it, but yeah, we should probably do that in the Discord. Maybe that's a night we take off from YouTube and come onto the Discord and let's take a look at it. Be great.
Good evening, gentlemen.
By the way, Jason. Sorry. Good
day. Yeah, I wasn't trying to interrupt. Just saying good evening.
But Blue Marble scientists are saying try Googling it, because that's where you find your knowledge. I'm pretty sure if Aristotle and those peoples of those day had Google, they'd just say, Google it.
Google it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty certain they did. I'm pretty certain they did have Google, by the way, Bev. I'm not being rude, guys, right? Did I hear you mention a rumpus? Is this like some weird animal that burrows in the ground or something?
It's something, it's like, what do you call it? That stuff that you get on the bottom of your shoe that stinks.
What? Shit?
Sort of. He's in the live chat.
Yeah, I know. That was me trying to be facetious and funny when I said rumpus is a burrowing animal.
He's a second grade mathematician within the Blue Marble scientists. There is a new modern mathematician.
But there is, let me state though, there is a claim, Jason, that Rumpus knows absolutely nothing.
Do you know what?
There is a claim someone made.
I'm already liking this guy Rumpus already, if he absolutely admits that. Because let's face it, none of us know anything, do we really?
No. Rumpus doesn't admit that. Someone else has made a claim about Rumpus
Yeah.
that he knows
All right.
absolutely nothing.
It's a
All
bit
right,
of a feud.
I will see. It would be rude of me to comment, mate, because I don't really know. I know you are Rumpus, obviously. I'm taking the piss here, but yeah, I don't really know you, so I can't really have a go at that, can I? But you kind of sound to me like you're the type of person who doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. But you know, just throwing that one in there. You know.
Rumpus says, "How about reading a book on maths and geometry?" Oh,
Like
I forgot.
the elements.
Well, like the elements, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rumpus says, we can't read technical books, so the elements obviously too technical for people to understand within the advanced simplicity of it all.
Yeah. So Rumpus, I've got to ask you, mate. What's your qualifications then? If you're going to lead it down that route of, you know, what you qualified in, man? What's your thing? What's your degree in? Shall I say? If I'm being honest, I'm assuming you've got one by the way you're going on.
Most likely, Rumpus
I never
has 3.
find it fair to ask people for their qualifications or their degrees or whatever. But
so is that a bit rude of me, Bev?
Asking for their speciality, now that's a worthwhile thing, right? Because most of the time, your qualifications don't really qualify you to be able to discuss. We use the rhetoric or whatever for these subjects, but you can have a specialist subject, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, Rumpus...
I only asked, and it wasn't me being rude or trying to like that. Like I only asked out of curiosity, mate, because you sound like the type of guy, Rumpus, who must have at least got some sort of academic studies behind him. So I was just curious to what your thing was. That was all I asked, man. It weren't me trying to poke fun or whatever.
He's got a fictional test where he wants to place himself as a shadow giant alongside Robotham and Wallace.
Oh, I see. Oh,
that hasn't happened yet?
He's got big aspirations. I mean, like,
Wait a minute.
Not quite as big as somebody claiming to have measured more than 180-degree triangles. Right? It's not quite that good big. Like, I mean, I suppose that would pale into insignificance now, right? The Bedford thing and Robotham.
Hold on, though.
I wish there'd have been that random. I wish there'd have been that random YouTube, communication issue there when you said he's got big aspirations. Because if it had just cut you off at the right moment, you'd have said he's got a big ass, which would have sounded quite cool.
Hang on, let me ask a question. So, am I taking it that Rumpus has not done his test yet? I mean, it is the middle of July now.
I thought you were Rumpus.
Oh no. I'll forgive you of that, Jason.
Sorry, I got the wrong end
goodness.
of the stick. I thought you were Rumpus under a different name. That's why I was just talking to you like you were Rumpus.
No, Rumpus is on the YouTube live chat.
All right, and you're gonna have to excuse me, guys. A fucking cat is sitting on my mouse, my keyboard. Keeps fucking pressing stuff when I don't want him to. Sorry, mate. I thought you were actually Rumpus because, like I said to you, I've never met Rumpus to speak to.
No one would confuse me with Rumpus. I have the entirely wrong accent.
All right, because remember, I don't know you either, so I kind of, I got the wrong end of the stick there, dude. So you're talking to this guy on what, on YouTube at the minute or something?
YouTube chat, yeah. You don't know the Rumpus. We have to get Jason to meet the Rumpus.
I have heard of him, but obviously that's why I was being a bit kind of. Bev, you're probably thinking, why's he been all weird? Because I thought you were this guy, the Rumpus. Obviously, I've heard of him. And that's why I made the joke about him being a small furry creature. I thought I was talking to you. I thought you were him.
Well, I won't comment on whether I'm a small furry creature, but nonetheless. So no test for Rumpus. It's middle of July now.
Can I just address these clips that they've got in the chat? Blue Marble Science says, well said, Bev. It's like your certificate that doesn't certify you to do fuck all. Like it. No, Blue, I've always said this. The fact that I have a land surveying certificate has zero relevance to anything. I just have a land surveying certificate. That's all I've said. Like, there's no big deal about it. Just, I do have one. So you can't say that I don't. It does signify that I've been and done a bit of training, but like I say, it doesn't bear any relevance to anything. What we have shown is that when we go out there with the tools, we can show people exactly what's going on and what is taking place from multiple cameras. So my speciality is being able to talk to people, to be able to communicate these processes through the medium of video and sound, pictures. And that's what we do. That is our speciality. Now, we don't have a theodolite, no. There's no relevance. We don't need to have a theodolite because we're not dealing with the processes of angle measurements. We don't do that. We deal with advanced simplicity and the understanding of level and elevation changes in a basic form. You can't make it any more simpler for people to understand these sort of things. So, yes, Blue, I do have a certificate for land surveying. That does mean that I have actually done a course in building construction with all of this stuff. So I do have experience in it, but that counts for nothing within this. We're just talking about things. Fortunately, some of us can talk about it. Other people just have to sit in the chat, slander or whatever. I'll address the comments, but I don't think they need much else.
Yeah, Kevin, quickly, right? I'm sorry about asking you about your degree qualifications. So I did actually think I was talking to this guy, the One Pass or whatever he's called, right? Yeah, so sorry, dude. Like I said, like I did really think you were him. But he sounds quite fascinating, this One Pass character.
He's a no one, really.
I'm assuming he's got this hardcore Glober kind of deny everything mentality, hasn't he?
He used to have a presence, but I think everybody understands the method that he employs. Even flat Earth mathematics, who's the one that claims that Rumpus knows nothing. And he's always wrong. I think always was the claim. He's got a bit of a feud.
I can see it now. This is why I've kind of given up arguing about this stuff, Bev, to be honest with these guys, because you're just not going to get through to them. This is why I was ranting yesterday about the whole we're getting divided and conquered thing, because that's all I see it as now. Everybody is just basically gesticulating for their own side, and they're not fucking doing anything practical or offering anything practical for a solution to what I see is a real serious problem right around us, you know?
The only problem we have, we find, is the ability to communicate, because the only way you progress is to communicate with people, but they're with the rise of AI and the so-called expert, there has been a lack in communication, and that's all it's about.
I was kind of referring more to the real world, like the physical world, but yeah, I can see where you're going with that. But I was kind of talking more, mate, about the real world, what I can see around me going on, man. I'll be honest with you, dude. Like, I ignore the media and all of this, right? I don't buy into this fear porn thing, right? But I can see everybody else buying into it, man, and it freaks me out, mate. Right? It's just, in regards to the real world, I think a lot of people need to stop gesticulating so much and kind of get a bit more cohesive, man, because otherwise, like, history is not only not going to remember us, it's just going to... If it does, it's just going to put us down as a bunch of cunts, right, who did nothing, and I don't want to go down like that, mate. I don't. I want to know that at least I did my bit. Mate, when I was 20 years of age, man, I'm certain you were the same, right? We used to go out protesting, man. I protested at the poll tax riots, you know, the criminal justice bill, all of that stuff, man. I was there doing my bit. I don't see anybody doing their bit nowadays towards any of this.
Don't know what the bit is though.
I do, if you want me to tell you honestly, but you might not like it. The fact is, right, the New World Order are already in control. It might even be too late, right? And just think of it like, just think of the world, Bev, in 30 years' time from now. Just think about what's happened in the last 10 years. Think about it in the next 30 years, man. You just mentioned AI. Everything is exponentially fucking accelerating, mate. It's going to get out of control.
The only way we can stop it is to communicate with each other. And the people that don't want to communicate and the people that will do, they'll just do what they want. You can't affect
But
them
unfortunately,
anymore.
yeah, I can see that way of thinking, Bev. I can, right? But unfortunately, mate, we're in the minority here. You know, certain people, right, ask me for proper advice, right, on this subject. I have asked me, right, and I've told them this. I said, you've got no chance. The best thing you can do if you're properly worried and you've got enough money is take you yourself and your family and just get the fuck out of here as far away as you can get. And hopefully you'll live out the rest of your life before the whole rest of this goes to rat shit. Which I think it is going to do, mate. I really do. Come on, man, you're intelligent, man. Just think it through.
We've been saying it for ages, but that's not going to get us anywhere. Right? You can say it for years. But still.
Well, that's kind of my point, mate. This is kind of my point why I'm getting a bit irate with it, is because I don't see anybody even trying to fucking do anything about it.
What can you do? Like, you can't govern this, and there is a government, but they're not going to help. And
Of course they're
you've
not,
got
no.
people, opposition, everywhere, just telling you that you don't know what you're doing, right? And that's modern day life.
Oh yeah, the opposition is an illusion, though. Let's face it, man. It's the whole Hegelian dialectic, and excuse my dyslexia there, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's that. It's like...
Yeah, well, that's why
And
people like Rumpus are in the chat. He's got no argument. He's just saying, no, not that. And that's modern day life. That's things that people have been taught, is to get upset about things that they can't do anything about. Other people.
You know Bloods, right? Bloods Thicker.
Yeah.
He sent me an awesome quote the other day, dude. He said this. He said, the person who makes you angry has authority over you. And I thought about it, and I thought, that's a very clever thing that I've certainly sent it me deliberately as well. Because he knows what I'm like, because me and him have met each other only relatively recently, right? And I like to think we've become friends, like, you know. But yeah, I'm certainly sent that to me deliberately because I can get so angry with things. But it's like, yeah, if somebody who makes you angry kind of does have authority over you, right? So this is why I've been making an effort to try and be kind of polite to most people I meet. Some people, mate, they're that hard to get on with. You can't help but call them a cunt, to be honest. Sorry, swearing. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Most of them, they're all right. You know what I've been doing recently, right? I've been getting these people on their own and phoning them. Oh, and my phone's ringing right now as I say that. Can I actually get back to you in a little bit?
Yeah. Pop back.
All right, thanks, Bev. Yeah, sorry, I've got to answer this, mate. Sorry.
No problem.
Thanks, mate.
Can't quite suss Bev's angle yet. I don't have an angle. If it was, well, it's not an angle, it's straight, just straight talk. Come on in and have a chat. The thing is, the communication is the only thing that's ever going to be from here on in. And you have got to be able to have this rhetoric and the ability to communicate. Otherwise, AI is going to take over. If we don't talk to each other, then AI will be the thing that's dealing with all of the arguments. Have to be able to do it ourselves, not involving AI. text chat, it's gone. You can't have a communication through text chat. There's no such thing as a text debate anymore, because guaranteed AI will be involved probably on both sides. What does Parallax say? Wow, that is that accurate. What was that? Yeah, the fact that I do have a land surveying certificate. Yes, that is accurate. The fact that that certificate doesn't do anything for the discussion or the communication that we have, or the ability for us to communicate through rhetoric. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. All we do is put auto levels through Discord, put the camera on the back of them, show people how things work in reality. Nobody needs a land surveying certificate to be able to do that sort of stuff. Nobody needs a land surveying certificate to talk about the basic facts of geometry or the elements. That's the way it is. Not many people can actually talk about these basic sort of things, especially not within, as we say, bunny ear quote, the arena, because I don't think people can access that advanced simplicity. I think people have jumped on the ladder without understanding the fundamentals. They've not made sure that the ladder has a firm grounding. Blue, you're changing the words again. A certificate is to certify that you've gone through the course and completed it. That's what a certificate is. I'm talking about what use is the certificate within the communication. Obviously, it's not going to help me talk to people who are typing in the text chat. Like, how does a certificate help you there? Doesn't help with any of this rhetoric or any of the understanding of the elements, because nobody taught the elements when we were in just basic geometry and the geometric principles behind surveying. Nobody got taught how logic forms the mathematics. No, Blue. It's a land surveying certificate. One of the certificates that I own for the building construction is a standalone land surveying certificate. It must trouble you finding out that Bev of the Bev Try Thinking actually holds a land surveying certificate. And all of the people that have come up against this simple, basic land surveying certificate have had to run away, disappear. They can't back their claims. Not surprising, really. Sophists do struggle when they're faced with basic logic. Yes, Blue, obviously. Well, fantastic. It's a really interesting story to go behind this, right? Because I was already in this arena when somebody said to me, well, what right have you got to say that Jesse Kozlowski is... you shouldn't say that within surveying. I went, because I did some surveying. And they went, no, you didn't. And I went, yeah, I think I might have a certificate somewhere. Let me go and have a look. And then I had to go and have a look for it. Found it and went, there you go. Here's a certificate to prove that I did actually do some surveying. And look at the butt hurt now. They can't stop it. Just a proof that I have actually studied surveying at college. That's all it was. Yes, have a look. Here is the certificate. I'll take a picture of it. It's on my wall here. Let me just take a quick. There we go. There you go. A land surveying certificate. About as basic as you could ever have, because it was a standalone certificate that we got asked if we wanted to do. It's just a land surveying certificate, Blue, to prove to you guys, right? Anybody says, you know, what right have you got to talk about surveying, Bev? Well, I did actually do it. But, I mean, I'm not talking about it as a professional. I'm not talking about it as though I'm doing contracts or anything like that. I'm just talking about me actually having studied surveying. And I'm not saying anything fantastic, right? That level is horizontal. As in, all differential leveling is done. As in the dictionaries say that level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane. It's only for conversation. Anybody wants to come and have a conversation? They can come in and say anything you want. I mean, we have had Flat Earth Mathematics coming in and claiming that he's measured a triangle with more than 180 degrees. Some may say it's impossible. Yet some other people have been known to claim that they've actually measured it. That person's called Flat Earth Mathematics. He did it on this show tonight, earlier on. I don't know how many other shows can put a claim to that. I think it's fantastic. Parallax. That particular GCE is a GCE in land surveying. It's a basic. Really, really basic. No, Dr. Becky frames that stuff. I only frame it because land surveying changed at a certain time It's all called geodetic surveying now. So there never will be anybody else with a certificate in land surveying. I think I'll be the only one. I know it's only very basic, but imagine that, Bev. Try thinking being the only person with a land surveying certificate within this entire arena. I'd rather be known for the only person with the land surveying certificate rather than the person that's claimed to have measured triangles with more than 180 degrees, or the fact that they're supporting a guy who said that level drops away from horizontal. Because I know that nobody with a surveying thing will be able to back the ridiculous claims made by other people. But, I mean, the proof of level being horizontal? Surveyors will definitely say that level is horizontal. How could it not be? Couldn't perform their job if it wasn't. And we use that, obviously. When I say we, I say within the surveying trade, right? Because all surveyors know that the earth is not flat. They measure the differences, so they know it's not flat. So there's a couple of things. Surveyors know that the earth is not flat, and surveyors know that level is horizontal. There's two things that surveyors will know. There's some people who can't have the two of them together, but I find that difficult to believe. That's why there will never be any Jesse Kozlowski type people. There's no dogmatic surveyors. They don't exist. Just the reality surveyors. Local surveyors. All surveyors will survey locally to where they are. And level is always horizontal wherever you are. It's a known fact. It's within all dictionaries. I do keep saying, I'm repeating myself quite a lot within all of this. But I think that's where we're at. Stating simplicities. It's why there's a difference. It's advanced simplicity versus modern frantic bunny here, science. It's quite funny as well, though, right? Because I got a trade in between me leaving school. City and Guilds Advanced Craft, Carpentry and Joinery. And then I went to do building construction. So, yeah, it definitely wasn't done in high school. Advanced simplicity versus modern science. Because I'd say advanced simplicity is more akin to old science, the science of acquisition of knowledge, making sure your foundations are certain and strong before building upon them. That's how you acquire knowledge, in my understanding. You acquire knowledge through practical experience, demonstration. In reality, right? Has to happen within reality. You cannot derive a proof or an understanding or a knowing of something imaginary. Can't be done. Is that parallels? Oh dear. As above, so below derives parallels. That can't be, can it? That'd be a bit inconvenient. Yeah, take note, everyone. Please do see what's on the screen. Proposition 1. And when we go over the video that Rumpus can't understand, he's been over it 3 or 4 times. He can't understand it. We'll be going over it in the Discord with everybody to try and bring everyone, because this is somebody said to me, not Euclidean, and then I'm guessing my deductive brain saw things that most people didn't. The individual steps that Logos gave me sort of laid out a path to let me know. But again, it's only what I know. I can't pass that on. I've always tried to understand how other people learn, and knowing that my learning process is perhaps a little bit different with me not having a model to start off with. I have to understand that other people probably don't understand, or they won't see what I see. So therefore I have to check how other people are acquiring knowledge. Because sometimes what seems simple sometimes isn't actually seen, or it can't be seen. It's great talking to people with mathematical brains. Sorry. I've just seen in the live chat. Blue Marble Science. That's fantastic. Yeah, we are going to have to go over this understanding of the not that, right? It needs to be gone over within the sophist, so everybody can see where we're at. Blue Marble Science says, who said I changed the orientations of lines page? What the fuck are you babbling about? Can you imagine him actually saying that? Euclidean geometry is simply a limiting case of spherical geometry. Euclidean geometry is simply a limiting case of spherical geometry. How could that be, Blue? How could you set out an axiomatic system and then say, be free? Don't be limited by the axiomatic system that you're within. Be free, Euclidean geometry. Catch you later, Kevin. Fantastic. If anybody wants to come into the Discord and get into any more of a conversation, it seems like Blue Marble Science. What you should do, Blue, is go live. Get your friends round. Get mathematics. Get flat Earth mathematics around. Maybe a bit of flat Earth dogma. Get spaghetti. Some spaghetti science. And then, yeah, bring Rumpus in. Give him something to do. And you go over all of this sort of stuff, Blue. We just go over the basics. You go over the complicated stuff. With your boys. Anyone going to bust a song? Or actually, anybody got anything else to go over? Or are we done for the weekend? Okay. What have we got? Not had Who Will for a bit, have we? What about this? Okay. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Who knows what's going to happen at the weekend? I think I might put the question argument out tomorrow. That might be a good one for Betty. Seeing as we know that the Blue Marble scientists cannot look even, they can't even see Betty's aporia. Can't even allow themselves to access it. They know what happened to Bob. They know when T-shirt Logic went round there to Bob, Bob had a serious he needed to go for some cocoa, let's say, but he's back. Blue Marble Science, for the same reason, they won't access Betty's aporia because they know what happens. So thanks for watching. We'll be back over the weekend, maybe just a video, and I'm going to go and clip the bit from mathematics saying that triangles have more than 180 degrees. See you on Monday, Model Affliction Monday, probably, but more orientated towards the sophistry. I'm going to do a special on that this week, I think, coming up. See you then.
Yeah, see you now.
see the writing on the wall, it's plain. Ramblings of these madmen going insane. And now I see it clear. They're running and they're hiding because of fear. If I never communicate with logical, if I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never receive the logos. Transcendental numbers and conceptual maths will take you on a journey down a Penrose path, and you'll never see it clear. The path that you're on will be ends in tears. If I don't sing and if I don't speak out, if I never communicate with logical will, if I don't sing and if I don't speak out, if I never receive the logos. Cast away the shadows and step into light. We're taking down giants and opening sight. And now I see it clear. The path that you're on ends in fear. taking back everything that was lost. I'll take it back at any cost. And I'm taking back everything that was lost. I'll take it back at any cost. If I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never communicate with logical will, if I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never receive logos. That was good.